Technological divergence from the Type 59. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 226, Giving the 704 Shipyard a Guide. So that's it. We have to go to the 704 shipyard. Lin Chenran picked up a cup of steaming hot tea, took a sip, and felt the warmth flowing slowly down his throat. He narrowed his eyes slightly, then waved his hand gently, and said in an unusually calm tone, "I don't plan to go abroad during this period." Then, he paused and added, "I will only travel around our country. There are only a few months left until the new year." Lin Chenran left the 077 mechanical arsenal and rushed to the 704 shipyard without stopping. When he arrived at his destination, he was immediately warmly welcomed by a group of senior leaders of the shipyard. Pan Zooming was all smiles, and he came forward to greet him very enthusiastically and greeted Lin Chenran cordially. "Welcome, Mr. Lin, to our 704 shipyard to inspect our work. The Arctic Route project has brought unprecedented opportunities to the 704 shipyard. A large number of orders are flying to the 704 shipyard like snowflakes. Large icebreakers, huge cargo ships, large oil tankers with superloading capacity, and so on. Especially the orders for large icebreakers, which made the 704 shipyard earn a lot of money." Lin Chenran's decision to ask the 704 shipyard to design, develop and manufacture icebreakers was so correct, wise and mighty. Then, Lin Chenran was seen walking in the front with an imposing manner. Behind him was a group of senior managers of the 704 shipyard. They walked towards the conference room in an orderly manner, and with serious expressions. When everyone arrived at the conference room one after another, the meeting officially kicked off in a solemn atmosphere. The successful opening of the Arctic route has made our 704 shipyard receive orders like a tide, and the number is showing a straight line upward trend. One of the senior executives of the 704 shipyard said excitedly. As soon as he finished speaking, another senior executive immediately took over the conversation. "All this is thanks to the tireless dedication and efforts of General Manager Lin. The groundbreaking Arctic Route project was originally conceived by the visionary and far-sighted Lin Chenran. He personally led the team north to engage in arduous negotiations and cooperation with the powerful Russian bear. The two sides were surprisingly consistent in their intention to cooperate. Both showed great interest and firm determination to jointly develop the Arctic Route project. With Lin Chenran's outstanding leadership and excellent negotiation skills, he successfully won a large number of valuable orders for the 704 shipyard. At this time, Pan Zooming, the deputy director of the 704 shipyard, was the first to stand up and applaud vigorously. His passionate and powerful applause seemed to ignite the enthusiasm of the entire audience. Soon after, the other senior executives present also quickly reacted and followed suit. For a moment, the warm applause was like thunder, resounding throughout the spacious and bright conference room. Lin Chenran, seated at the head table, couldn't help but curl his lips slightly, a smile of relief and pride spreading across his face. Shortly after, he slowly raised his hands, gently waving them toward the crowd, saying, "Thank you, everyone. This achievement is inseparable from your concerted efforts and hard work. The opening of the Arctic route is a gust of wind for our 704 shipyard. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I hope our 704 shipyard can seize this opportunity, build on it, and continue to thrive. We are not simply satisfied with becoming the leading shipyard in China. We will set our sights on the world and strive towards our grand goal of becoming a world-class shipyard," Lin Chenran declared passionately. His firm and confident gaze swept across the audience, as if he could already see the glorious future of 704 shipyard. These ambitious words were like a blazing torch, instantly igniting the passion and desire deep within the hearts of the 704 shipyard executives present. They all rubbed their hands, eager to try. Their blood seemed to be boiling at this moment. This is exactly the ideal they had dreamed of. Yes. A senior executive of the 704 shipyard couldn't help but echoed loudly. "That's right. We can do it." Another senior executive also shouted excitedly. "We can definitely do it." Others raised their arms and shouted in agreement. For a moment, the whole conference room was filled with inspiring shouts and warm applause. There is no doubt that Lin Chenran is like a very contagious leader. The chicken soup for the soul he cooked made every senior executive drink it willingly. How desolate and unbearable the 704 shipyard used to be. Now under the leadership of Lin Chenran, everything has changed dramatically. This magical man who has turned countless impossibilities into possibilities is leading the 704 shipyard to move forward at full speed towards a bright future. After drinking the chicken soup, it's time to get down to business. Boss Pan, I wonder if the design and development plans for cruisers and frigates of our 704 shipyard have been finalized? Lin Chenran turned slightly and turned his head to Boss Pan who was sitting next to him, his bright and deep eyes flashing with anticipation. Boss Pan smiled and responded calmly, Boss Lin, you can rest assured. Regarding the design and development plans for these two ships, we already have a clear plan. The 704 shipyard has unique advantages. Compared with other domestic shipyards, they knew the specific needs of the Yan State Navy for new ships earlier. This is also thanks to the existence of Lin Chenran. There is also the Aegis missile destroyer that the 704 shipyard built for the Yan State Navy. That Aegis missile destroyer was highly sought after by the Yan State Navy. Now, the Yan State Navy really hopes that both the cruisers and frigates will be built by the 704 shipyard. The 704 shipyard learned of the Yan Nation Navy's need for cruisers and frigates a week before any other domestic shipyards. The entire team immediately began intensive preparations, devoting all their efforts to meticulously designing an exceptional cruiser and a high-performance frigate. Lin Chenran nodded thoughtfully, then quickly glanced at the group before him. With a hint of urgency, he said, then don't delay. Hurry and get the design and development plans for these two warships. I need a closer look. Pan Zooming understood, and he immediately winked at his neighbor. Just then, a young-looking man stood up. General Manager Pan hurriedly introduced him. General Manager Lin. His name is Sun Yang. Despite his youth, he's considered one of the top shipbuilders at the 704 shipyard. He will be the chief designer of this frigate. Sun Yang stood up, stared at, and now he was completely lost. Chapter 227 Imperial Guardian White Shark Frigate. At this moment, Sun Yang's heart was beating like a drum, his hands were shaking unconsciously, and his palms were already soaked with sweat. This feeling of tension was unprecedented for him, as if countless ants were crawling around in his heart, making him feel uneasy. Although Sun Yang had always remained relatively calm when facing various important occasions and tasks before, today was completely different. The person standing in front of him was none other than Lin Chenran, a well-known figure in the industry. He was also his immediate superior. From now on, his eating porridge and eating would depend on his face. The thought of presenting the frigate that he and the entire design and development team had painstakingly crafted to Lin Chenran made Sun Yang's heart rise to his throat, and he was so nervous that he could hardly breathe. Sun Yang, don't be nervous. Lin Chenran's gentle and charming voice suddenly rang out, like a spring breeze caressing Sun Yang's tense nerves. Lin Chenran smiled, his eyes revealing encouragement and trust, and he gently comforted Sun Yang. Hearing these kind words, Sun Yang felt a slight sense of peace, and he quickly responded, thank you, Mr. Lin. Encouraged by Lin Chenran's words, Sun Yang took a deep breath, striving to calm the surging tension within him. Gradually, the suffocating feeling of oppression began to dissipate, and he was finally able to refocus and begin his own performance. Sun Yang cleared his throat, then, with confidence and passion, presented the White Shark frigate, designed and developed by his design and development team, to the audience in detail. His vivid and accessible explanations fully showcased the frigate's various features and advantages. The first thing that caught everyone's eye was the White Shark's basic specifications. Its length is 134 meters, resembling a giant steel dragon lying across the sea. Its beam is 16 meters, providing stable support for the hull. Its maximum draft is 5 meters, ensuring excellent seakeeping capabilities. And its full load displacement is an astonishing 4,053 tons, fully demonstrating its powerful loading capacity and combat effectiveness. Throughout Sun Yang's vivid presentation, Lin Chenran listened attentively, meticulously jotting down key data points and areas requiring further refinement in his notebook. His eyes were sharp and perceptive, not missing a single detail. When Sun Yang finally concluded his captivating presentation of the White Shark frigate, the audience erupted in applause. Lin Chenran, who had been silent until then, raised his head and offered praise and recognition for Sun Yang's outstanding performance. Sun Yang, your White Shark frigate design and development plan is excellent. Sun Yang was overwhelmed by Lin Chenran's praise. Thank you, Mr. Lin. But, Lin Chenran then pointed out the shortcomings of the White Shark frigate's design and development plan, inviting the 704 shipyard executives present, as well as Sun Yang, to reflect and propose solutions. No warship design is perfect from the outset. Problems are identified and refined over and over again, ultimately leading to perfection. Sun Yang and others were thinking about how to solve the problem. Lin Chenran raised his hand slightly, staring intently at the exquisite watch on his wrist. The time hand seemed to become particularly clear under his gaze. After a brief pause, he said calmly and firmly, "Everyone, please stop the discussion for the time being. Please write down in detail the shortcomings of the White Shark frigate that I just raised. After this meeting, we will discuss solutions together." As soon as the voice fell, the senior executives of the 704 shipyard immediately took action. They picked up pens and notebooks and carefully wrote down every problem pointed out by Lin Chenran. These senior executives knew the importance of this mission and did not dare to be careless at all. Only by accurately recording all the problems and working together to solve them after the meeting can the design and development plan of the White Shark frigate be improved. After the meeting, the entire team will face a tense and busy battle. They needed to work overtime to comprehensively and meticulously revise and optimize the existing design to ensure that the White Shark frigate could be presented to the Yan Kingdom Navy's top brass in its most perfect form. The atmosphere eased slightly as it was Pan Zooming's turn to introduce the Four Emperors cruiser. This talented designer personally took the lead in the design of this new cruiser. The Yan Kingdom Navy had hinted, through various means, that they hoped Pan Zooming could design a more advanced and powerful cruiser. Previously, the Aegis missile destroyer designed and developed by Pan Zooming had already demonstrated astonishing performance. The Yan Kingdom Navy had high hopes for Pan Zooming. Since the Yan Kingdom Navy had clearly stated its request, the 704 shipyard would certainly meet their needs. The experienced and talented Pan Zooming once again stepped forward, once again taking the reins and shouldering the heavy responsibility of chief designer of the new cruiser. Pan Zooming stood before the 704 shipyard senior management, ready to present a detailed presentation on the Four Emperors cruiser, meticulously designed by his team. He held a thick document densely packed with data and technical details about the cruiser. The first thing that caught his eye was the cruiser's impressive basic specifications. Its overall length reached a staggering 183 meters, resembling a giant steel dragon slicing through the waves. Its beam was 22 meters, giving it excellent stability and maneuverability. Its draft was 8 meters, allowing it to operate in varying water depths. Furthermore, its standard displacement was a staggering 9,000 tons, soaring to 12,300 tons when fully loaded. Its immense size clearly demonstrated its formidable combat capabilities. The Four Emperors cruiser also boasted an exceptional propulsion system, enabling it to reach a maximum speed of 32 knots, making it capable of pursuing the enemy or rapidly supporting allies. Its endurance is also remarkable, capable of a continuous cruise of 7,000 nautical miles, significantly expanding its operational range. Furthermore, this new ship is equipped with a range of advanced weapon systems, including new air defense, anti-missile, anti-ship, and anti-submarine weaponry. These weapons work together to form a tight firepower network, formidable to any incoming enemy. The Four Emperors cruisers also possess powerful information perception capabilities, enabling them to quickly detect and respond to various threats in their surroundings. Their superior air defense and anti-missile capabilities effectively defend against enemy missile attacks, safeguarding themselves and their fleet. As for anti-naval strikes, their high-performance artillery and missile systems are capable of delivering a devastating blow to enemy vessels. Chapter 228. 10,000-ton large ship 4 Emperor's Cruiser. Pan Zuming's design for the 4 Emperor's Cruiser was truly unique and ingenious. He cleverly drew upon valuable experience gained from the previous Aegis missile destroyer project, building upon it with innovation and refinement. After thorough research and reflection, Lin Chenran identified only a few areas for improvement. People truly improve. Looking back at the original Aegis missile destroyer design, while it had its merits, it admittedly still had some imperfections. However, time has changed, and the 4 Emperor's Cruiser design now presented to the public has reached near perfection. As Pan Zuming detailed this meticulously crafted proposal, Lin Chenran, seated nearby, was overcome with emotion. He quickly stood up and led a round of applause for Pan Zuming. Immediately afterwards, the other senior executives present at the 704 shipyard also rose to their feet, and the conference room erupted in thunderous applause. It must be said that the 4 Emperor's Cruiser design was truly flawless, and the minor flaws that remained did not in the least detract from its overall excellence. With only minor adjustments and optimizations to address these issues, it would become an impeccable mature cruiser design. If the Yan Kingdom Navy isn't satisfied with the 4 Emperor's Cruiser's design and development, Lin Chenran is confident he's fully capable of successfully marketing it to other nations. The majestic sight of massive cruiser displacing tens of thousands of tons traversing the ocean is enough to excite one's heart. Its formidable deterrent power will undoubtedly make it a highly sought after asset for navies worldwide. The Sudus and the Camel region have long desired large warships. However, the United States and Russia, driven by their own interests, have refused to sell them. Other nations, however, are even more hesitant to challenge them. Gaul is eager to secure a large warship order from the Sudus and the Camel region, but its shipyards have shrunk in recent years, making it unable to handle large warships. Previously, Abdul of the Sudus and the Camel region lamented why Yan Kingdom's shipbuilding technology was so backward, preventing them from accepting large warship orders. If the Yan Kingdom Navy does not need this 4 Emperor's Cruiser, then Lin Chenran will not hesitate to sell it to the Dog Tycoon. A 10,000-ton ship that can fight and resist. Who doesn't love it? Pan Zuming noticed that Lin Chenran was the first to start applauding, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but rise slightly. Being able to get Lin Chenran's recognition, Pan Zuming's heart was simply blossoming with joy, as if he had eaten honey. Especially with Lin Chenran's affirmation, he knew that he had secured the position of director of the 704 shipyard. This feeling of being recognized was like a spring breeze blowing through his heart, filling him with confidence and motivation. Pan Zuming scratched his head and said modestly, "Thank you for your support." As soon as the voice fell, warm applause rang out again. After the applause gradually subsided, Pan Zuming sincerely asked Lin Chenran to comment on the 4 Emperor's Cruiser carefully designed and developed by the team he led, and to put forward some valuable suggestions and directions for subsequent improvements. Lin Chenran spoke slowly and gently. "Mr. Pan, the design proposal you submitted for the 4 Emperor's Cruiser is truly outstanding." Then, changing his tone, he said, "However, I do have a small suggestion I'd like to share with you." Pan Zuming's face lit up with anticipation upon hearing this, his gaze fixed on Lin Chenran beside him. Despite having put considerable effort into the design of the 4 Emperor's Cruiser, as the saying goes, a bystander sees more clearly than one involved. There were subtle areas where there might still be deficiencies or room for improvement, which he hadn't noticed. He desperately hoped Lin Chenran could help him identify these hidden flaws. This would allow the design of the 4 Emperor's Cruiser to be further refined. As Lin Chenran methodically explained the shortcomings of the 4 Emperor's Cruiser's design, Pan Zuming and his R&D team initially frowned in confusion, but gradually, a look of sudden enlightenment dawned on their faces. Right. So that's how it is. Someone exclaimed excitedly. That's right. Why didn't I think of it before? Another member echoed. That's right. This is really a wake-up call. Pan Zuming's voice trembled with excitement. He quickly picked up a pen and carefully wrote down what Lin Chenran said about the shortcomings of the 4 Emperor's Cruiser design. At the same time, he secretly vowed in his heart that he must work late into the night to solve some of these problems. Under Lin Chenran's patient guidance, Pan Zuming felt as if his brain was ignited and began to work rapidly. Inspiration emerged from the depths of his mind like a fountain. The more he thought about it, the clearer his ideas became, and the problems that had troubled him for a long time seemed to be solved all at once. By the time Pan Zooming and other team members had finally finished recording all the shortcomings of the Four Emperors cruiser mentioned by Lin Chenran, the meeting was nearing its end. Lin Chenran looked at everyone and nodded with satisfaction. He smiled slightly and said, "Everyone has worked hard during this period. The current development trend of our 704 shipyard is really beyond my expectation." Hearing this, everyone present smiled with pride. Then, Lin Chenran changed the subject and continued, "However, we can't be satisfied with the status quo. As long as everyone works together and continues to work hard according to the current good situation, then by the end of the year, I guarantee that your year-end bonus will be raised again by a big step." After saying this, he swept his eyes over everyone's face, saw the fighting spirit burning in everyone's eyes, and felt secretly proud in his heart. As a leader, timely painting a few big rosy pictures and pumping up the blood for subordinates can stimulate their work enthusiasm. When the senior executives of the 704 shipyard heard that this year's year-end bonus would be more than last year, their faces instantly flushed, and they became extremely excited. The year-end bonuses distributed last year made everyone have a fat year, and also broke the misunderstanding of the outside world about the military industry. Working in the military industry is worse than selling tea eggs. "That's my promise," Lin Chenran promised solemnly. "Thank you, Mr. Lin." The 704 shipyard executives cheered and shouted in joy. 3 days passed in a flash. Lin Chenran, along with Pan Zooming, Sun Yang, and the design team, attended the Yan Kingdom Navy's cruiser and frigate bidding conference. Upon arriving at the venue, Lin Chenran and the others attracted considerable attention. Chapter 229. Why are you panicking? I'll cover you. 704 Shipyard, like a shining star, rose to prominence among China's numerous shipyards thanks to its independently developed Aegis-equipped guided missile destroyer. This destroyer not only demonstrated exceptional performance, but also unparalleled strength, earning it unrivaled fortitude. Recalling the thrilling scenes of the fierce naval clash with the Monkey Kingdom, the scenes remain vivid. Facing the Monkey Kingdom's arrogant provocation, the Aegis-equipped destroyer was like a ferocious behemoth. Its advanced weapons systems instantly activated, its formidable firepower deterring the Monkey Kingdom's vessels, who dared not even attempt a single step. Ultimately, the Aegis-equipped destroyer's thunderous force completely overwhelmed the enemy and mercilessly expelled them from the relevant waters. Following this battle, the 704 shipyard and its Aegis-equipped destroyer became legendary. This remarkable feat was unmatched by older warships. Because of this, the Yan Kingdom Navy has high hopes for the 704 shipyard and strongly requests that Pan Zooming, the core figure of the factory, personally preside over and take charge of the design of a more outstanding, advanced and powerful cruiser. Under the enthusiastic and thoughtful guidance and arrangements of the staff, Lin Chenran and others successfully arrived at the designated location and quickly completed the settlement. At this time, the atmosphere in the entire venue was tense and full of expectations. As time passed, representatives from major shipyards arrived one after another, and the originally spacious conference room gradually became lively. When everyone was still immersed in the atmosphere of mutual communication, a burst of neat and powerful footsteps suddenly came. Everyone looked sideways and saw that the senior leaders of the Yan Kingdom Navy came out collectively and walked into the conference room with steady steps. These naval generals were all dignified, with serious expressions, but revealing a hint of kindness. The majestic aura they exuded was awe-inspiring, fully demonstrating the powerful lineup of the Yan Kingdom Navy and its high attention to the cruiser and frigate bidding projects. Standing at the head of the group, Elder Zhang wore a kind smile. He surveyed the room and spoke slowly. On behalf of all the officers and men of the Navy, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to you all for attending this cruiser and frigate bidding conference. His words were brief, but the sincerity and expectation they conveyed resonated deeply with everyone present. Lin Chenran and the others rose and applauded. Suddenly, thunderous applause echoed throughout the conference room. Elder Zhang then continued, "Now, each major shipyard will send a representative to draw lots, and in order, explain their frigate design and development plans to our Navy. After our Navy evaluates the proposal, we will announce the frigate design we have selected. A one-on-one explanation. The frigate designs of each shipyard will not be disclosed. Although this process took a long time, confidentiality was extremely high. The representative from Shipyard 704 drew the last number. This meant that everyone from Shipyard 704 could go to another conference room to rest. Lin Chenran, along with the staff, led everyone to another conference room. This time, the Yan Kingdom Navy was dragging its feet, skipping many steps. They simply ordered all the major shipyards to prepare, and the first one to be drawn would explain directly in the conference room, while the other shipyards left the meeting room and went to other conference rooms to wait and rest. Lin Chenran's eyes fell on Sun Yang's slightly tense and slightly nervous face. He walked forward with steady steps, patted Sun Yang on the shoulder gently, and comforted him in a gentle tone. Sun Yang, don't be so panic. You have to believe in the strength of our team and perform normally. Don't worry, I will cover you later. Hearing Lin Chenran's comforting words, Sun Yang's originally uneasy heart settled a little, but he still asked with some concern. But what if the Navy does not adopt our White Shark frigate design and development plan in the end? Lin Chenran smiled confidently and replied calmly, you don't have to worry about this at all. Even if the Navy does not adopt our plan, I also have a way to make it work and find other countries that are interested in this frigate to purchase it. Just put your heart in your stomach and go all out to show the Navy leaders our White Shark frigate design plan. After hearing Lin Chenran's confident assurance, the hearts of all the members of the White Shark frigate project team, which had been hanging high, finally slowly fell back to their original place. With such a strong and reliable backing behind them, no matter what difficulties and challenges they encounter, it seems that they can be solved easily. This feeling is like taking a tranquilizer, making people feel extremely at ease. At this moment, for the entire team, it can be said that there is no worry at all. So, everyone's face gradually showed a relaxed and happy expression. Thank you, Mr. Lin, Sun Yang said with gratitude. Time passed quickly like a white horse passing by, and in the blink of an eye, a few hours passed. It was the turn of the 704 shipyard to take the stage. They were going to introduce their carefully built White Shark frigates in detail to the leaders of the Yan Kingdom Navy. Lin Chenran walked in front with his head held high, leading a group of energetic colleagues behind him, and striding into the conference room. Upon entering, Lin Chenran, smiling broadly, greeted the assembled leaders in a resonant voice. Hello, leaders. Immediately, the rest of the 704 shipyard staff joined in a chorus of hello, leaders. In response to the enthusiastic greetings, the gray-haired yet still energetic Mr. Zhang, seated at the head of the table, also offered a genial smile and cordially replied, don't be so polite, everyone. We all know each other well. Upon hearing this, everyone present burst into hearty laughter, and the atmosphere in the conference room instantly became relaxed and lively. Previously, the 704 shipyard had devoted its entire efforts to meticulously designing and developing a truly Aegis-capable missile destroyer for the Yan Kingdom Navy. Upon its unveiling, this new warship quickly garnered significant attention and enthusiastic praise from the Yan Kingdom Navy. Its superior performance, advanced weapon systems, and exceptional defensive capabilities made it a powerful force in safeguarding maritime sovereignty. Following the success of the Aegis-capable missile destroyer, many high-ranking naval officials were eagerly anticipating the 704 shipyard's subsequent frigate project. As an important component of naval power, frigates play a crucial role in maintaining national maritime security. Faced with an increasingly complex and volatile international landscape and growing maritime threats, the Yan Navy understands that meeting existing standards is far from sufficient. They aspire to possess more powerful, efficient, and multi-role frigates to further strengthen coastal defense and safeguard the vast blue homeland. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 230, A Group of Shipyards. You used to call me sweetie, but now, you call me Madam NIU. When representatives from Shipyard 704 arrived upon their invitation, the Navy's top brass eagerly awaited their presentation of their new frigate design. After everyone had taken their seats, the Yan Navy smiled and gestured to the Shipyard 704 team, signaling that they could begin presenting their frigate design in detail. At this moment, Lin Chenran, seated at the head of the table, turned slightly to the side, his gaze, gentle as the sun yet resolute as steel, resting gently on Sun Yang, who looked slightly nervous. His lips curled slightly, and he spoke in a soft yet powerful voice. Sun Yang, go. Present our meticulously crafted White Shark frigate design in detail to the Navy leaders. These simple words were like a spring breeze caressing Sun Yang's heart, instantly calming his already flustered mind. Believe in yourself, you can do it. Lin Chenran encouraged with a smile. Hearing these words, Sun Yang felt a surge of warmth in his heart, as if infused with boundless courage and confidence. He took a deep breath, trying to calm his inner turmoil, and slowly rose from his seat. He bowed his head in thought for a moment, quickly organizing his thoughts. Then, he looked up, a confident and composed smile on his face. Meanwhile, the Yan Nation Navy leaders in the conference room cast curious glances at the young man striding towards them. Their eyes were filled with surprise, clearly surprised that the chief engineer responsible for the design of the White Shark frigate at the 704 shipyard was so young. However, these experienced leaders soon realized that, as the saying goes, you can't judge a person by his appearance, and you can't measure the depth of a sea by a bucket. Age is not the only criterion for measuring a person's ability. Perhaps this seemingly immature young man will, like a meteor streaking across the night sky, bring everyone an incredible and unimaginable surprise. Sun Yang wore a confident and humble smile, and he bent slightly, bowing deeply to the numerous Yan Nation Navy leaders present. Then, in a resonant and passionate voice, he declared, "Today, I present to you a new type of frigate meticulously designed by our 704 shipyard, the White Shark." As soon as he finished speaking, the staff quickly distributed a portion of the White Shark design plan to each of the Yan Nation naval leaders present. They eagerly flipped through it, their eyes immediately captivated by the data. The White Shark's basic specifications were truly impressive. Its length was a staggering 134 meters. This length allowed it to accommodate a wealth of advanced equipment and weapon systems. Its beam reached a remarkable 16 meters, enhancing stability while providing ample interior space. Its maximum draft was a staggering 5 meters, allowing it to withstand a wide range of sea conditions. Most striking of all, its fully loaded displacement was a staggering 4,053 tons. This sheer size made it a giant on the seas. When the Yan Nation Navy leaders saw these basic parameters, their once serious faces instantly became filled with excitement, and their eyes involuntarily shone with a golden light. They thought to themselves, this is the frigate we've always dreamed of. The frigate designs submitted by other shipyards pale in comparison to this, and simply cannot meet our needs. The frigate designs submitted by several previous shipyards have already been rejected. A group of domestic shipyards, scumbag. Before, when you needed my frigate design, you called me little sweetie. Now the new guy is better than the old, and the White Shark frigate design from the 704 shipyard is even better. Just call me Madam NIU. Chief Engineer Sun, the White Shark frigate is so large, can it meet the speed requirements? A prominent figure in the Yan Nation Navy raised his hand high and bluntly interrupted Sun Yang, who was speaking on the stage. While this naval commander also longed for a large and imposing warship, he knew that speed was crucial for frigates. Without sufficient speed, no matter how large the frigate's tonnage, it would likely fail to meet the diverse operational needs and strategic deployments of the Yan Nation Navy. Previous frigate designs submitted by several renowned domestic shipyards had been limited in terms of maximum displacement, with most of these proposals ranging from 2,000 to 3,000 tons. However, the White Shark frigate, unveiled by the 704 shipyard, was a resounding success, boasting a whopping 4,000 tons. The White Shark frigate was undoubtedly a behemoth. However, sacrificing speed for sheer size would be a waste of time and effort, ultimately resulting in a loss that outweighed the gains. The naval commander frowned, his face thick with worry. Facing the crowd's doubts and concerns, Sun Yang simply smiled, appearing confident and calm. He cleared his throat and, with remarkable patience and professionalism, began to explain in detail to everyone present. Rest assured, the key to our White Shark frigate's enormous tonnage and its remarkably high speed is its powerful power output, the Hurricane diesel engine, independently designed and developed by our 704 shipyard. To ensure an adequate and powerful power supply, the 704 shipyard simultaneously equipped the White Shark frigate with 4 world-leading Hurricane diesel engines. When these 4 engines fire at full throttle, the unleashed power is jaw-dropping. The frigate's top speed is an astonishing 28 knots. When the Yan Nation naval leaders present, heard of the White Shark frigate's impressive top speed, their eyes lit up with excitement, as if they had discovered a rare treasure. This speed is truly remarkable for a frigate. How could such performance not exclaim in awe? They couldn't help but exclaim, this is truly incredible. The White Shark frigate's power takeoff, PTO, system wasn't imported, but manufactured by the 704 shipyard. Previous designs for frigate propulsion systems from other shipyards had either envisioned sourcing diesel engines from abroad, or using gas turbines as PTO systems. In the unfortunate event of war, if foreign countries suddenly cut off their engine supply to my country, those frigates relying on imported engines would be in a precarious position. They could easily become useless scrap metal, unable even to leave port, let alone engage in combat missions. This situation was undoubtedly the last thing the Yan Navy's top brass wanted to see. The Yan Air Force's aircraft engines were similarly reliant on imported engines. Chapter 231, 704 Shipyard. I eat meat, you drink soup. If all domestic shipyards' frigate designs required imported engines, the Yan Navy's leadership might reluctantly consider making do for now. However, the White Shark frigate design proposed by Shipyard 704 surprisingly utilizes a completely domestically produced diesel engine. Consequently, frigate designs submitted by other shipyards will likely be ruthlessly discarded by the Yan Navy. The Hurricane diesel engine developed by Shipyard 704 has performed exceptionally well, capable of propelling the 4,000-ton White Shark frigate at speeds of up to 28 knots. This performance figure is undoubtedly very attractive and precisely meets the Yan Navy's frigate power requirements. Began fast. Who wouldn't love that? A large warship can intimidate an adversary. High speed makes pursuit and evacuation much easier. This is a Yan Navy's dream frigate. What were the previous frigate designs from major domestic shipyards? Are there any? Of course not. The Yan Nation Navy. I didn't see it. I don't know it. The domestic shipyards. Scumbag. Forget the old for the new. When they were short of frigates, their greetings were so cordial, but now that a better frigate design is available, their tone is so cold. Then, with a smile and full of confidence, Sun Yang continued to explain in detail his meticulously designed White Shark frigate. His vivid and professional description made it seem as if everyone present could witness this powerful warship bravely sailing the waves. This White Shark frigate is no ordinary frigate, with a tonnage of over 4,000 tons and a length of an astonishing 134 meters. Such a huge size and length required the designers to painstakingly design the stern. Ultimately, after repeated research and demonstration, they focused on creating a spacious and fully functional helicopter landing area. This helicopter landing pad is truly remarkable. Not only can it safely accommodate a heavy lift helicopter for critical missions like transporting vital personnel or supplies, but it can also be flexibly adapted to accommodate 2 small and medium-sized anti-submarine shipborne helicopters in response to special circumstances or operational requirements. This makes it perfectly suited for responding to enemy submarine threats and conducting various emergency rescue operations. Having such a helipad is crucial for a frigate, significantly expanding its capabilities to handle complex situations at sea. In the event of an emergency, helicopters can be rapidly deployed for reconnaissance, search and rescue, and even attack operations, significantly improving the ship's responsiveness and operational effectiveness. After listening to Sun Yang's presentation, the senior leaders of the Yan Kingdom Navy gave a thumbs up, praising the White Shark frigate's design. They were particularly impressed by the ingenious helipad at the ship's rear end. They hadn't considered this crucial detail, but they were surprised that the 704 shipyard had thoughtfully considered it. This thoughtful design is truly touching. As an advanced naval combat vessel, the White Shark frigate boasts a formidable and diverse array of weaponry. The first thing that catches the eye is the imposing 76mm naval gun. This massive cannon, like the tusks of a steel behemoth, is capable of delivering precise strikes against targets at long range, ensuring that enemy warships and shore installations are within its reach. For close-range defense, two 7-barrel 30mm close-range defense guns guard the frigate like personal bodyguards. Their rapid-fire fire creates a dense barrage, instantly shredding any approaching enemy aircraft or anti-ship missiles. Then there are the impressive 4 quadruple missile launchers, each loaded with a variety of missiles, including air defense and anti-ship missiles. Upon detecting a threat, the missiles unleash like a swift arrow, delivering a devastating blow. The frigate also features 4 8-tube vertical launch missile launchers. This vertical launch system significantly improves missile launch efficiency and responsiveness. Various missile types can be rapidly loaded and launched according to mission requirements, ensuring the White Shark frigate maintains a powerful offensive capability throughout combat. Furthermore, the frigate is equipped with 2 triple-tube torpedo launchers. These torpedoes, like assassins from the deep sea, silently approach their targets before launching a sudden attack, inflicting heavy damage on enemy vessels. 2 6-tube multi-purpose rocket launchers also provide a variety of attack methods, capable of striking surface, air, and coastal targets. An hour passed quietly, and Sun Yang finally explained the White Shark frigate's various configurations and design plans to a group of senior Yan state naval leaders. The Yan state naval leaders were extremely impressed with the frigate's design, and were eager to have the 704 shipyard quickly design, develop, and manufacture the White Shark frigate. Such a formidable frigate would be able to safeguard Yan state's vast maritime territory. Most importantly, a frigate weighing over 4,000 tons is unlikely to be eliminated, and will become one of the mainstays of the aircraft carrier fleet. Immediately afterwards, senior Yan Navy officials asked Sun Yang several questions about the White Shark frigates. They also asked whether the Hurricane diesel engine on the White Shark frigates had been manufactured. After receiving Sun Yang's accurate response, the Yan Navy officials asked them to leave the meeting room and rest in other lounges. Lin Chenran led Sun Yang and the others back to their original lounge. Sun Yang no longer felt the initial nervousness. It was as if everything had calmed down. Sun Yang, this White Shark frigate design will most likely be adopted by the Navy's top brass. We must devote 120% of our efforts to its design and development. As Lin Chenran left the meeting room, he saw satisfaction on the faces of the Yan Navy's senior officials. The 704 shipyard was almost certain to secure the Yan Navy's frigate order. Since the White Shark frigate weighs only 4,000 tons, it's significantly cheaper than an Aegis missile destroyer. Lin Chenran speculated that the Yan Navy would place an order for 6 to 8 ships. At that time, the 704 shipyard will most likely give part of the orders to other shipyards for construction. There is no way, time does not allow, the Yan Kingdom Navy Luyeo a large number of new warships to protect the Yan Kingdom's sea borders. Lin Chenran feels that it does not matter anyway. Most of the profits go into the pocket of the 704 shipyard. Other White Shark frigate orders undertaken by the 704 shipyard can only eat enough to feed themselves. The 704 shipyard eats the meat, and the other shipyards that undertake the White Shark frigate orders drink the soup. Chapter 232 White Shark frigate becomes the final winner. Sun Yang's voice trembled with excitement as he repeatedly expressed his gratitude to Lin Chenran. Thank you, Mr. Lin. Just now, my heart was so nervous, like a little rabbit in my chest, beating like a rabbit. Once I finished my explanation and presentation, my heart finally settled down. Before leaving the meeting room, Sun Yang carefully observed the expressions of the Yan Kingdom's senior naval leaders. They were very satisfied with the White Shark frigate design. Lin Chenran, his face beaming, said cheerfully, "Everyone, if other shipyards submit frigate designs that are better than ours, and the naval leaders ultimately don't adopt our White Shark frigate, don't worry. I'm fully prepared and plan to vigorously promote it to the Sordis and the Camel region." Not long ago, Abdul of the Sordus and the Camel region contacted me and expressed his hope that we could help design a high-performance frigate. He paused briefly, as if gauging the crowd's reaction. In the lounge, the 704 shipyard staff, who had initially been somewhat skeptical, suddenly seemed to understand something, their faces filled with relief. It turned out that Lin Chenran hadn't deceived them. There were indeed potential customers with a strong desire to purchase the frigates. Meanwhile, after Lin Chenran and the 704 shipyard hurriedly left the conference room, the atmosphere in the spacious, brightly lit room took on a particularly solemn tone. The senior leaders of the Yan Kingdom Navy who remained sat upright, their gazes meeting in a state of intense excitement. These battle-hardened and experienced officers discussed earnestly whether the White Shark frigate could meet the actual needs of their nation's navy. Elder Zhang, seated at the head of the table, his weathered face etched with the marks of time, yet his eyes still shone with a sharp gleam. He surveyed the assembled Yan Kingdom naval brass with a solemn expression, his voice deep and powerful. "What do you think of the 704 shipyard's White Shark frigate design?" Elder Zhang invited the naval brass present to express their opinions. After hearing what Mr. Zhang said, everyone was silent for a while, as if they were thinking about how to start. A moment later, a senior officer of the Yan State Navy was the first to break the silence. He cleared his throat and said without hesitation, "In my opinion, the design of the White Shark frigate is much better than the frigate designs of the previous shipyards. Its overall performance and various indicators are much stronger than the former, especially in terms of firepower and defensive capabilities." As soon as the senior officer finished speaking, another person nodded in agreement. "That's right. I also think that the design of the White Shark frigate is far ahead of the frigate designs of other shipyards. Its hardware facilities perform well, and from the perspective of tactical application and strategic planning, it is also very forward-looking and adaptable. If our navy can be equipped with White Shark frigates, I believe it will greatly enhance the strength of our navy." Another senior officer of the Yan State Navy, dressed in a neat military uniform with shining epaulettes, frowned and said in a heavy tone, "The power output device used by the White Shark frigate comes from the Hurricane diesel engine developed and produced by our 704 shipyard. The rest of the domestic shipyards generally choose to import engines from abroad. If war were to break out, and these engines were damaged, given the current situation, our navy would likely struggle to obtain sufficient replacements and repairs. Wouldn't those once imposing frigates be reduced to useless piles of scrap metal?" He spoke, slamming the table before him vigorously, his eyes filled with anxiety and unease. The heart of a warship couldn't be controlled by other countries. While warship engines have a lower failure rate than aircraft engines, there's no guarantee they can withstand continuous high-intensity operation without breaking down. Another high-ranking general nodded slightly in agreement. "That's absolutely true. The White Shark frigate does have many significant advantages. It's large, fast, powerful, and relatively low maintenance." As these high-ranking generals engaged in a lively discussion, the atmosphere in the conference room grew tense and heated. More and more high-ranking naval officers expressed their opinions. After 10 minutes of discussion, Elder Zhang coughed lightly, and the clamor in the conference room instantly died down. The Yan Kingdom's senior naval leaders all turned their gazes to Elder Zhang, who was standing in front of them, waiting for him to speak. "Now, let's take a vote. Those who support Plan 1, raise your hands. When making a decision, hands must be raised in approval. If a majority vote is received, the plan will pass." 10 seconds later, not a single Yan Kingdom naval leader in the conference room raised their hands in approval. "Those who support Plan 2, raise your hands." Still, no naval leader raised their hands in favor of this plan. "Those who support the 704 shipyard's White Shark frigate design, raise your hands." Elder Zhang was the first to raise his hands in approval. The other Yan Kingdom naval leaders quickly responded, raising their hands high. The 704 shipyard's White Shark frigate design was unanimously approved. The Yan Kingdom Navy's frigate order would be placed with the 704 shipyard. Elder Zhang smiled slightly and nodded in satisfaction. This was the result he had hoped for. The 704 shipyard's White Shark frigate design was indeed far ahead of other shipyards. This was a fact, no lies. Elder Zhang said calmly. The White Shark frigate design has been approved for our Navy's tender and will be announced in 3 days. If executives from other shipyards come to make a fuss, you may briefly explain the White Shark's basic specifications, but key parameters must not be disclosed. Elder Zhang knew that after the tender, some shipyard executives would undoubtedly make a scene, hoping to get their way. But now, Elder Zhang emphasized to the Yan Nation Navy's senior officials at the meeting that they must not allow the shipyards to cause too much trouble. They couldn't just assume a fussy child will get an order. That was before. Now is now. The Yan Nation Navy wanted to become a powerful navy that could reach the deep blue, and it couldn't afford to compromise. We understand. Don't worry. No one will make a scene, the Yan Nation Navy's senior officials reassured. After receiving responses from everyone, Mr. Zhang arranged for everyone to go to the cafeteria for lunch. There was another task in the afternoon, the appraisal of the cruiser design plan. Chapter 233, Mr. Zhang, the shipyard that received the naval frigate order is. In the late afternoon, sunlight streamed through the windows into the spacious bright conference room, casting a warm glow on everyone's faces. But the people present had no time to savor this warmth and leisure. The important afternoon meeting was about to begin. As time passed, representatives from major domestic shipyards filed into the conference room, found their seats, and the atmosphere gradually quieted down. Then, sitting in the chair, Mr. Zhang calmly announced, "Colleagues, after in-depth discussion and evaluation within our Navy, we have reached a final conclusion on the frigate design." The senior executives from the domestic shipyards were met with a mixture of anticipation and nervousness. The anticipation outweighed the nervousness. But Mr. Zhang's next words completely extinguished their anticipation. "Because we still need to await final approval and consent from higher-ups, we cannot announce the specific results for now." These words caused the many domestic shipyard executives present to frown, their expressions grim. Their disappointment was palpable. Obviously, no one had anticipated the Navy's decision to temporarily conceal the winning frigate design. The Yan Nation shipyards responded with a chorus of "Pah! How cowardly. We've been waiting so long, and this is the outcome? Is it to avoid impacting the subsequent cruiser design selection?" Facing the overwhelming power of the Navy, the shipyard executives knew they couldn't overcome the overwhelming might, and no amount of complaints would suffice. Consequently, they suppressed their frustration and tried to calm themselves. After all, a far more daunting task lay ahead, presenting their own cruiser designs. The frigate design competition was merely an appetizer. The real showdown would be the cruiser design presentation. These two warships were in completely different leagues. In terms of technical difficulty, performance requirements, and strategic significance, cruisers far surpassed frigates. Therefore, for each shipyard, whether they could emerge victorious in this cruiser design competition would directly impact their future position and prospects in the naval equipment sector. With this thought, everyone's fighting spirit was rekindled, ready to give their all to meet the upcoming challenge. Lin Chenran's lips curled slightly, a faint smile plastered across his face, his gaze calmly scanning the varying expressions of the domestic shipyard executives present. His gaze seemed to hold a profound meaning, as if silently saying, "Please begin your performance." He knew full well that the Yan Navy's top brass would never directly announce the successful shipyard in this meeting. Revealing the results so early would undoubtedly have a significant impact on the subsequent cruiser design bidding process. Elder Zhang, seated at the front, observed the expressions of everyone present with a serious and solemn expression. As expected, the scene unfolded exactly as he had anticipated. Without hesitation, Mr. Zhang got straight to the point and said, "Now, please continue to draw your respective numbers, and then take turns to go on stage to present your shipyard's cruiser design." Due to the tight timeline and heavy workload, there was no room for complaint or hesitation from the many domestic shipyards present. Mr. Zhang made a decisive move and issued this unquestionable order. At the same time, Lin Chenran quickly turned to look at Pan zooming beside him and nodded slightly. After receiving Lin Chenran's instructions, Pan Zooming's eyes were firm, and without the slightest hesitation, he took a deep breath, and then took steady and powerful steps, rushing towards the drawing area as fast as a meteor across the sky. Every step was filled with determination and confidence. At the same time, senior executives from other shipyards also sent their trusted personnel to the drawing area, hoping to draw an ideal order to present their own cruiser design. For a moment, the entire conference room was filled with a tense and expectant atmosphere. Pan Zooming approached the lottery box. His face was expressionless, yet his eyes betrayed a focused and calm demeanor. He slowly extended his right hand, gently reaching inside the box, groping for a moment, before pulling out a slip of paper without hesitation. When he unfolded the slip and saw the number on it, he was startled. It was number 1. This result brought a hint of surprise. Shipyard 704 would be the first team to present its cruiser design to the Yan Navy's top brass. This news spread rapidly throughout the conference room, and upon hearing it, the faces of the other shipyard executives suddenly darkened, their brows furrowed into deep furrows. They had already received some gossip. It was said that the Yan Navy had specifically requested that Pan Zooming, the director of Shipyard 704, personally design and develop an exceptional cruiser for them. Now that Shipyard 704 had drawn first place, did this mean that Shipyard 704 had a clear advantage in this competition? Did the Yan Navy want to finish quickly? As time passed, everyone finished drawing lots, with the exception of those at Shipyard 704, who remained relatively calm. The faces of the other shipyard personnel were filled with worry and uneasiness. They left the conference room with heavy steps, their hearts filled with anxiety. They silently prayed that Shipyard 704's cruiser design would not meet the needs of the Yan Kingdom Navy. As the heavy conference room door slowly closed, a smile as bright as the spring sun suddenly spread across Mr. Zhang's weathered face. His deep bright eyes sparkled with surprise and admiration. Mr. Pan, I really didn't expect that your Shipyard 704 would be the first to present your cruiser design. I can't wait to see your excellent cruiser design, Mr. Zhang said excitedly. Pan Zooming, standing nearby, only smiled modestly in response to this praise. He bowed slightly and said softly, Mr. Zhang, you're too kind. It's just a coincidence. Then he said confidently, the cruiser design plans of our 704 shipyard are all the same in that order. Because our 704 shipyard's cruiser design plans are excellent and advanced enough, they will definitely not disappoint the Navy. Seeing this, the senior leaders of the Yan Kingdom Navy all smiled. This was the top ship design and engineering master they wanted. Very confident. Chapter 234. The Four Emperors Cruiser at the 704 Shipyard. Then, with a smile on his face, Mr. Zhang raised his hand slightly, signaling Pan Zooming that his wonderful performance could begin. Pan Zooming nodded in understanding, then looked at the crowd with a determined gaze, cleared his throat, and said, next, let me explain in detail the cruiser design plan carefully crafted by our 704 shipyard. After saying this, he and Lin Chenran beside him exchanged a tacit glance. After receiving Lin Chenran's affirmative nod, Pan Zooming turned and gestured to the 704 shipyard staff behind him. The 704 shipyard staff immediately took action, distributing copies of the beautifully bound content of their own Four Emperors cruiser design plan to each of the Yan State Navy's senior leaders present. The Yan State Navy's senior leaders present took the content book with great anticipation and couldn't wait to open the first page. In an instant, a magnificent rendering of the Four Emperors cruiser came into view, instantly captivating them. This is beyond imagination, a high-ranking naval leader exclaimed. The flowing, natural lines, the majestic hull, it's truly breathtaking. Another leader's voice trembled with excitement. Just looking at the rendering of the Four Emperors cruiser, everyone could sense its immense power and majesty as it sailed through the waves. Seeing the cruiser face to face would be even more astonishing, especially when the Yan Kingdom naval leaders saw the tonnage markings on the Four Emperors cruiser. Their eyes were drawn to it like a magnet, unable to look away even for a moment. A 10,000-ton cruiser. The Yan Kingdom naval leaders gasped. That's incredibly cool. Another echoed, his face filled with excitement and amazement. The conference room erupted in a tidal wave of admiration. The blazing gazes of each Yan Kingdom naval leader, like glittering stars in the night sky, were fixed on the mysterious and powerful Four Emperors cruiser. Their hearts were filled with boundless longing and anticipation. It was as if they could already see the steel behemoth sailing across the vast ocean, braving the wind and waves. Pan Zooming stood at the podium with his back straight, brimming with confidence. His voice, resonant and clear, echoed throughout the conference room like a rousing war song. He detailed the basic specifications of the Four Emperors cruiser, meticulously designed and developed by the Yan Kingdom 704 shipyard, to the assembled Yan Kingdom naval brass. The large screen first displayed the ship's majestic overall appearance, followed by detailed data. The Four Emperors cruiser's total length was a staggering 183 meters, a true mobile fortress. Its beam reached a generous 22 meters, ample enough to accommodate a wide range of advanced weaponry and equipment. Its deep draft of 8 meters ensured stability while underway. Even more astonishing was the ship's standard displacement, a staggering 9,000 tons, implying immense cargo capacity and combat effectiveness. This wasn't the most astonishing aspect. When fully loaded, the Four Emperors cruiser's displacement soared to an incredible 12,300 tons. Despite its immense size, it still glided across the seas with unparalleled agility, like a mighty dragon. As a top-tier cruiser, besides its immense size, its power system was also crucial. The Four Emperors cruiser was equipped with 4 enhanced and improved GTZA 674 steam turbines, a cutting-edge power plant that gave it an unparalleled speed advantage. According to the meticulous and precise calculations of the experienced and skilled engineers at the 704 shipyard, when all 4 of these enhanced and improved GTZA 674 steam turbines were simultaneously operating at full power, the energy they unleashed would be unimaginably immense. This immense force was more than enough to propel this massive warship, weighing tens of thousands of tons, through the waves at unprecedented speeds. Its speed was like a hurricane, a breathtaking sight. With such a powerful powertrain, the Four Emperors cruisers can easily reach speeds of 32 knots, a heart-pounding speed. As they traverse the vast turbulent seas, they zip by like lightning, leaving a long snow-white trail of spray in their wake. However, it's important to note that such full throttle operation can't be sustained for long. Despite the Four Emperors' exceptional performance, every piece of machinery has its limits. Normally, these majestic cruisers cruise at a relatively steady 28 to 30 knots, leisurely navigating the vast oceans. Furthermore, the Four Emperors cruisers boast an exceptional endurance, a remarkable feat. With a range of up to 7,000 nautical miles, they can handle even the most challenging missions with ease, even in the face of long voyages and complex, unpredictable ocean conditions. The 704th shipyard is truly a leader in the military industry. Their meticulously designed Four Emperors cruiser resembles a leviathan of the sea, outfitted with an impressive array of advanced weapon systems. Among them, the new anti-aircraft weaponry acts as a guardian within the iron sky, accurately locking onto and shooting down incoming enemy aircraft. Anti-missile weapons, like an impenetrable shield, easily intercept enemy missiles from afar. Anti-ship weapons are even more formidable, roaring like dragons, their devastating impact piercing enemy warships with thunderous force. Anti-submarine weapons, like ghost hunters in the deep sea, silently search for underwater targets and relentlessly attack upon discovery. These weapons work seamlessly together, complementing each other to form a tight, impenetrable firepower network. No threat, whether from the air, the surface, or the submarine, can escape this net of fire. The aft of the Four Emperors cruiser also boasts a massive helipad capable of accommodating multiple heavy helicopters and anti-submarine helicopters. After more than 40 minutes of explanation, the Yan Kingdom Navy's senior leaders were roughly familiar with the various configurations of the Four Emperors cruiser. They all thought to themselves, as expected of you, Pan Zooming, you're truly capable. The design of the Four Emperors cruiser was even more powerful than that of the Aegis missile destroyer. Now, the Yan Kingdom Navy's senior leaders were eager for this Four Emperors cruiser to be built quickly and put into service. Chapter 235 Good is expensive. Expensive is good. The exceptional design of the Four Emperors cruisers was so remarkable that the Yan Kingdom's senior naval leaders present could hardly contain their excitement and eagerness. They were eager to have the warships immediately put into construction and swiftly incorporated into the Navy's battle order. At this point, the highly respected Elder Zhang, representing the Yan Kingdom's navy, posed several key questions to Pan Zooming regarding the Four Emperors cruisers. Pan Zooming responded calmly, His arguments clear, logical, and well articulated, providing detailed and accurate answers to each question. Pan Zuming's responses were so brilliant that the Yan Kingdom's senior naval leaders present nodded in approval, their faces filled with immense satisfaction. At this moment, Elder Zhang said with a gentle smile, "General Manager Lin, General Manager Pan, thank you for your hard work. You can return to the lounge and rest for a while, or you can choose to leave first. As for whether the cruiser design will be adopted, we will have to wait until each shipyard has presented their respective proposals, and then we will discuss and decide together." At this point, Elder Zhang paused briefly, then added, "The results are expected to be officially announced to everyone in 3 days." Hearing this, Lin Chenran and Pan Zuming looked at each other in tacit understanding, and then responded in unison, "General Manager Zhang, I understand." Then, they said goodbye to the leaders present. "Goodbye, leaders." As soon as he finished speaking, everyone from Shipyard 704 stood up and left the meeting room in an orderly manner. At the same time, the executives of the other shipyards looked at the faces of the people from Shipyard 704, each beaming with joy as they left, and a mixed feeling filled their hearts. Oh no. After slowly leaving the spacious and bright conference room, the members of Shipyard 704 didn't rush back to the factory as usual. As if on sync, they tacitly decided to stay for a while, to rest and engage in a lively discussion. Sun Yang's already youthful face was now filled with a bright smile. He walked up to Pan Zuming in 2 steps and congratulated him in advance. "Mr. Pan, the design plan for the 4 Emperors cruiser that you proposed this time is simply amazing. I saw it very clearly at the time." The senior leaders of the Yan Kingdom Navy who were sitting in the main seats had their eyes as big as copper bells. Their eyes were just like a group of hungry wolves seeing delicious food. "I wish I could build these 4 Emperors cruisers immediately and quickly incorporate them into our country's naval combat sequence." Hearing the praise, Pan Zuming waved his hand quickly and responded humbly, "Sun Yang, your White Shark frigate has a greater probability of obtaining an order from the Navy. The sharp appearance and advanced weapon system are all eye-catching." In this way, the two of them went back and forth, bragging about each other's design plans. Lin Chenran, who was standing by, couldn't stand it any longer. He couldn't help but interrupt with a smile, trying to interrupt the pair who were flattering each other. "Mr. Pan, Sun Yang, you two should stop praising each other. Both of your warship design plans are quite outstanding. It's fun to keep praising each other like this." As soon as the words fell, the whole lounge suddenly erupted in laughter. Everyone at the 704 shipyard laughed so hard that they fell over, and some even laughed to tears. For a moment, a cheerful atmosphere filled the air, making people feel extremely relaxed and happy. 5 hours passed in the blink of an eye. After the cruiser design plan presentation and bidding meeting ended, the senior leaders of the Yan Kingdom Navy organized everyone to enjoy a sumptuous dinner in an orderly manner. During the meal, everyone exchanged details about their work and their prospects for future development. The atmosphere was harmonious and warm. As night fell, a group of senior executives from major domestic shipyards began to leave one after another. The people at the 704 shipyard also set off on their journey home. Unlike other domestic shipyards, upon returning to the shipyard, they chose not to rest or relax, but instead plunged into their respective warship design and development projects. Each was completely absorbed, seemingly oblivious to the passage of time, intent on achieving flawless perfection in their warship designs. They knew that, even if these 2 warships ultimately failed to secure the favor and order from the Yan Kingdom Navy's top leadership, their unique design concepts and outstanding performance would still find a broad market. These meticulously crafted warships would not be mercilessly mothballed or abandoned in a corner. After the grand and intense warship bidding conference concluded successfully, the Yan Kingdom Navy's top leaders did not disband, but immediately held a non-stop, in-depth meeting for further discussions. They were highly impressed by the designs submitted by the 704 shipyard for the White Shark frigate and the 4 Emperors cruiser, and were filled with joy and anticipation. Both proposals, from multiple perspectives, demonstrated exceptional quality, both in terms of innovation and practicality, stunning everyone present. Of course, upon seeing the cost of the White Shark frigate and the 4 Emperors cruiser, even these veteran admirals, accustomed to the rigors of daily life, gasped. It was exorbitant. Not only did their hearts ache, but even their livers seemed to ache at the sheer magnitude of the figures. The designs for the White Shark frigate and the 4 Emperors cruiser from the 704 shipyard were truly first-rate, their advancement and superiority undeniable. However, these exceptional designs came at a staggering cost. The saying, "You get what you pay for," was vividly exemplified in this moment. A famous quote from a famous animal: "Good is expensive. Expensive is good. Treasure." Compared to the frigate and cruiser designs offered by other shipyards, the 704 shipyard's proposal was significantly more mature and robust, with meticulous consideration of every detail and a more comprehensive and rational overall structure. Successfully constructing these 2 warships according to this plan would undoubtedly ensure their unrivaled combat effectiveness upon their future deployment, firmly securing a top-tier position. However, the staggering cost of these 2 warships presented an insurmountable chasm to the Yan Kingdom's naval leaders, leaving them deeply hesitant. The funds involved were substantial, and making a final decision was a difficult task. The tense and heated meeting lasted over an hour, yet the final decision on which shipyard's frigate and cruiser designs should be adopted remained undecided. The vast majority of the Yan Kingdom's naval leaders favored the 704 shipyard's designs for the White Shark frigate and the 4 Emperors cruiser. These 2 proposals certainly have many appealing features, both in terms of performance and appearance, and are truly top-notch. However, their prohibitive cost is their high cost. The funds previously allocated to the Yan Kingdom Navy by higher authorities were limited, far from enough to build the White Shark frigates and the 4 Emperors cruisers. Initially, the Yan Kingdom Navy ambitiously planned to build 8 frigates and 4 cruisers simultaneously. Now, haha. Chapter 236. The quantity doesn't match. The Yan Nation Navy's existing warships were already dilapidated and severely deteriorating, practically toothless. These outdated vessels could only play a limited role in modern naval warfare, unable to effectively deter potential adversaries. Faced with this situation, Elder Zhang, one of the Navy's top brass, was filled with worry and anguish. For a moment, the entire conference room was gripped by a dilemma, the atmosphere tense and heavy. Just as everyone was at a loss for what to do, a senior Yan Nation Navy leader's eyes suddenly lit up, as if he had discovered a new world. From among the mountain of frigate designs, he pulled out a design for a medium-sized frigate weighing over 2,500 tons. The leader's eyes suddenly lit up, like a flash of lightning in the darkness, illuminating the unknown path ahead. A blazing fire ignited within him, a flicker of hope growing and growing. He scrutinized every detail and parameter, his excitement growing with each inspection. He then keenly realized that this frigate might be the key they'd been searching for, the key to breaking the deadlock and resolving their current difficulties. If that were the case, consequently, the number of White Shark frigates originally planned for construction would undergo a significant change, from the original 8 to 6. The number of 4 Emperors cruisers to be built would also be reduced by 1. This would significantly save money. These savings could then be invested in the construction of a 2,500-ton frigate. This idea was a brilliant and innovative approach. For routine patrols, a 2,000-ton frigate was more than adequate. However, in the face of a tense confrontation, a more powerful and capable large warship would be able to demonstrate its formidable deterrent and combat effectiveness. He then confidently and clearly explained his entire plan to the assembled Yan Nation naval leaders, drawing glances of surprise and admiration from everyone. They whispered among themselves, discussing this ingenious plan in low voices, and then nodded in unison. Everyone agreed that it was indeed a promising and effective approach. Elder Zhang smiled and said slowly, "This is indeed a very good idea." Then, his tone changed. "The design of this 2,500-ton frigate is rather outdated. Its engine and weaponry require a comprehensive upgrade." As soon as he finished speaking, the other senior leaders of the Yan Kingdom Navy present nodded in agreement. For a moment, the conference room was filled with affirmative voices. Elder Zhang then acted decisively, compiling and recording the valuable suggestions and novel ideas raised by everyone, and quickly reporting them to the higher authorities. Upon learning of this, the higher authorities took it seriously and immediately convened an emergency meeting. In that tense and solemn meeting, after in-depth discussion and careful consideration, the leaders unanimously agreed to Elder Zhang and his colleagues' request. Then, good news came. The design plans of the White Shark frigate and the Four Emperors cruiser carefully crafted by the 704 shipyard successfully passed the strict review of the senior leaders of the Yan State Navy and obtained their order. This time, not only the 704 shipyard received the order from the Yan State Navy, Jiangnan shipyard also won the bid. The medium-sized frigates they designed were recognized by the Navy and also received orders. Soon, the Yan State Navy issued authoritative red-headed documents to the two shipyards. There was a busy scene in the 704 shipyard, and the workers were busy with their work in an orderly manner. In a spacious and bright office on the top floor of the office building, Lin Chenran was sitting at his desk concentrating on processing documents. Suddenly, a knock on the door broke the silence in the room. Pan Zooming appeared at the door with a smile on his face, and his eyes revealed an excitement that he could not suppress. Then, he walked into the room quickly, his steps as light as a young man, not like a man in his 50s at all. Before even reaching Lin Chenran, Pan Zooming eagerly declared, "Boss Lin, our Factory's 2 warship designs have received high praise from our senior naval leaders, and they've already decided to place an order with us." He waved his arms as he spoke, his excitement evident. Upon hearing this, Lin Chenran immediately put down his pen and looked up at Pan Zooming, a flicker of surprise in his eyes. Pan Zooming continued, "This time, the Navy plans to build 6 White Shark frigates and 3 Four Emperor cruisers. 4 of the White Shark frigates will be built according to the original design, but the remaining 2 will require upgrades. As for the 3 Four Emperor cruisers, the first will remain as is, while the other 2 will undergo minor upgrades." Pan Zooming spoke steadily, a smile plastered on his face. He detailed the Yan Nation Navy's needs. 6 White Shark frigates, 3 Four Emperor cruisers. Lin Chenran, believing he had misheard, asked Pan Zooming for confirmation. The previous gossip did not say this. The Navy was going to build 8 frigates and 4 cruisers. When the order came to the 704 shipyard, why did it shrink? There were 2 fewer frigate orders and 1 less cruiser, which accounted for the majority. What's going on? Pan Zooming leaned close to Lin Chenran's ear and whispered, "I heard that it's not only our 704 shipyard that has received orders from the Navy. Jiangnan shipyard has also received orders for frigates from the Navy." Lin Chenran looked at Pan Zooming with a puzzled look, wanting to hear his explanation. Pan Zooming smiled bitterly for a moment, waved his hand, and said innocently, "Mr. Lin, it's still that the construction cost of the 2 warships designed by our 704 shipyard is too expensive, and the Navy does not have that much money." Then, Lin Chenran didn't know what to say for a moment. It turned out that there was also the reason of their 704 shipyard. Lin Chenran curled his lips and said speechlessly, "That can't reduce the order. Can 6 White Shark frigates and 3 Four Emperors cruisers guard the motherland sea borders?" Wait. Lin Chenran suddenly realized. "Mr. Pan, how many Navy frigate orders has Jiangnan shipyard received?" Pan Zooming said, 6. Then he continued to add, 1 White Shark frigate can match the others too. But the maximum displacement of their frigates is only 2,500 tons. I see. After figuring it out, Lin Chenran stopped worrying about it and asked Pan Zooming to arrange a meeting between the 2 warship design and development teams. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 237. Good news announced. Obtained order for frigates and cruisers from Yangon Navy. Not long after, members of the design team of the White Shark frigate and the Four Emperors cruiser from the 704 shipyard arrived at the conference room one after another. They all had serious expressions, holding thick materials and notebooks in their hands, and it was obvious that they attached great importance to this meeting. When everyone was present, the door of the conference room was gently pushed open, and Lin Chenran and Pan Zooming walked in slowly with steady steps. With their entry, the originally noisy atmosphere in the conference room suddenly became extremely quiet, as if time had frozen at this moment. The door of the conference room closed quietly, and an important meeting was about to begin. Seeing the two leaders arrive, everyone in the conference room stood up to greet them, their faces filled with respect and expectation. "Hello, Mr. Lin. Hello, Mr. Pan." Greetings came one after another. Lin Chenran nodded to everyone with a smile on his face and responded to everyone's greetings cordially. His eyes were gentle and firm, which made people feel trusting. After everyone had greeted each other, Lin Chenran raised his hands, pressed them down, and said with a smile, "Everyone, please sit down first. Our meeting is about to begin." Hearing this, the members of the White Shark frigate design team and the Four Emperors cruiser design team sat down one after another. Interestingly, the seats where these people sat were quite particular. They naturally divided into two camps. One side was the White Shark frigate design and development team, and the other side was the Four Emperors cruiser design and development team. At this time, Lin Chenran sat steadily in the main seat, while Pan Zooming sat to his side. Lin Chenran turned his head slightly and signaled to Pan Zooming beside him with his eyes. Pan Zooming nodded in understanding and then quickly took out two documents from the folder in front of him. At this moment, the entire conference room was silent and everyone's eyes were focused on Pan Zooming, waiting for him to read the crucial document. Pan Zooming cleared his throat, then solemnly unfolded the document and began to read aloud. "Really?" someone asked in disbelief, with a tremor in his voice. "We have successfully obtained the Navy's frigate and cruiser orders?" Another person also widened his eyes, his face full of astonishment. Although everyone had various guesses in their hearts at the beginning, thinking that this meeting might be related to the Yan Kingdom Navy's frigate and cruiser orders. But no one expected that this guess would come true. When the mysterious veil was lifted and the answer was exposed, everyone was stunned. For a moment, they were unable to react and subconsciously asked, Is this true? Are you kidding?" When everyone saw the smiles on Lin Chenran and Pan Zooming's faces as bright as blooming spring flowers, the last trace of doubt in their hearts instantly disappeared. Yes, this is true. The huge joy surged into their hearts like a tide, making everyone's heartbeat speed up involuntarily. Lin Chenran's hands trembled with excitement. He took a deep breath, calmed himself, and declared loudly, "The designs for the White Shark frigate and Four Emperors cruiser from R704 shipyard are simply perfect. Not only are they exceptionally capable and technologically advanced, but they also fully account for all practical combat requirements. It's precisely because of this that they've earned high praise and unanimous acclaim from naval leaders. This time, we've secured a massive order for 6 White Shark frigates and 3 Four Emperors cruisers." At this point, Lin Chenran could no longer contain his excitement and burst into applause. His gesture awoke the others in the conference room, who joined in the applause. Suddenly, rapturous applause surged like a tidal wave, rising and falling, deafening like thunder, reverberating throughout the spacious and solemn conference room. The applause, like a torrential downpour, continued relentlessly, seemingly never to cease. Lin Chenran then cleared his throat and continued calmly. 4 of the White Shark frigates will be built according to the original, meticulously designed plan. The next 2 White Shark frigates will require comprehensive and in-depth upgrades. He paused, scanning the crowd, and continued, "As for the 3 Four Emperors cruisers, the first will continue to be built according to the original, proven, and reliable plan. The other 2 will undergo some minor, yet crucial, upgrades based on actual conditions and latest requirements." These words clearly conveyed the key points of this mission, ensuring that everyone present understood them. This was a daunting project and a heavy responsibility, as it carried the Yan Nation Navy's earnest aspirations for a strong coastal defense capability. Members of the 2 design and development teams, each responsible for a different component, took up their pens, intently recording this crucial information. According to the Yan Nation Navy's explicit requirements, once all preliminary preparations were properly arranged and foolproof, they hoped to commence construction on all 5 warships simultaneously when construction officially began. The current complex and volatile international situation leaves no room for delay or hesitation. Yan Nation urgently needs a large number of advanced new warships to be put into service quickly, to guard its vast maritime borders and safeguard its sovereignty and territorial integrity. Upon hearing this, Pan Zooming, who had remained silent until then, frowned slightly and muttered to himself, "Building 4 White Shark frigates at once? And a 4 Emperors cruiser? That's quite a challenge. A hint of worry flashed in his eyes. Although Shipyard 704 had undergone a major expansion, its entire facility had significantly increased in size compared to its previous size. 6 new indoor and outdoor docks had been added, undoubtedly increasing the shipyard's production potential and capabilities. Despite such a vast infrastructure, building a large number of warships simultaneously was no easy task. This was because Shipyard 704 wasn't solely focused on warship construction, it also undertook the construction of other types of vessels. For example, the massive icebreakers, which require powerful ice-breaking capabilities to withstand the harsh polar environment, as well as the massive cargo ships laden with cargo and the massive oil tankers used to transport vital resources like oil, are among the many vessels. Each of these different types of vessels requires unique design requirements and construction processes, making the shipyard's production workload incredibly arduous and complex. Even with sufficient docks, the true limiting factor in shipyard capacity is manpower. Chapter 238 Lin Chenran, Can I Still Live? There are severe manpower limitations. Whether it's the experienced construction engineers with deep knowledge and superb skills, or the skilled workers with years of experience on the front lines, their numbers are simply a drop in the bucket compared to what's actually needed, far from meeting the requirements. Every project requires meticulous planning and design, relying on the seamless collaboration of a team of professionals from various fields. Given the current staffing situation at the 704 shipyard, the pressure of simultaneously undertaking and carrying out multiple large-scale warship construction projects would undoubtedly be extremely heavy, almost unbearable. At this time, Pan Zooming, with a troubled look on his face, said to Lin Chenran, "Mr. Lin, the problem with building so many warships at once is that we simply don't have enough engineers, and we are also severely short of skilled workers." Lin Chenran didn't respond immediately, but frowned slightly, lost in thought for a moment. After a long pause, he slowly spoke, his tone calm. "Transfer some of the orders to other shipyards for construction. Our 704 shipyard will act as a middleman. We at 704 shipyard will focus on building 1 Emperor's cruiser and 2 White Shark frigates. As for the remaining 2 White Shark frigates, we will outsource them to other domestic shipyards through an open tender. This way, we can ensure the completion of the task while rationally allocating resources, achieving mutual benefit. We at 704 shipyard will reap the benefits, while the other shipyards will also benefit. Joint development is the long-term solution." Lin Chenran explained his grand plan with a smile, his gaze firm and confident. These words were like a bombshell, causing an uproar in the meeting room of 704 shipyard. Everyone present was stunned at first, then began to whisper among themselves, but soon they realized that the plan was indeed feasible. To achieve the goal of shared development, Lin Chenran decided to give up a portion of his considerable profits. This is no small move. After all, profit is crucial for any company. After hearing this plan, Pan Zooming fell into deep thought. After a moment, he nodded slightly in agreement, saying, "Well, I think this plan will work. It can quickly complete the frigate and cruiser orders placed by the Yan Kingdom Navy, and it can also greatly reduce the production pressure of our 704 shipyard. By cooperating with other shipyards, we will undoubtedly enhance our own influence in the industry." The participants expressed their opinions one after another, and after a heated discussion, they finally reached a consensus. Everyone unanimously approved of the plan proposed by Lin Chenran. At this time, Lin Chenran turned his gaze to Pan Zooming and said solemnly, "Mr. Pan, the important task of finding a cooperative shipyard is left to you. I have only one request, that is, in the process of building this batch of warships, engineers from our 704 shipyard must play a leading role. This is the only way to ensure that the quality of the project and the technical standards meet our strict requirements." Pan Zooming patted his chest without hesitation and answered confidently, "Don't worry, Mr. Lin. I will definitely carefully select the most suitable partners and implement them according to your requirements to ensure that I will not fail my mission." Linjiang Province 077 Mechanical Arsenal. Lin Chenran returned from the 704 shipyard in a dusty manner. He looked a little tired, but his eyes revealed a sense of satisfaction and accomplishment. The mission to the 704 shipyard has been successfully completed, and the thorny problems there have been properly resolved. The 704 shipyard successfully obtained orders for frigates and cruisers from the Yan Kingdom Navy. Although the orders for frigates have been reduced by 2 and the orders for cruisers have been reduced by 1 compared to the initial expectations, it is not easy to obtain such a large-scale order overall. It is enough. There is only 1.5 months left until the new year. Lin Chenran decided to temporarily put aside his business trips and plans to go abroad and focus all his energy on sorting out the affairs of the factory. Today, the scale of the 077 mechanical arsenal is expanding, and all links are closely linked. A slight carelessness may cause a series of problems. He must conduct a comprehensive and in-depth sorting out of the big and small things in the factory to ensure efficient and orderly production operations. Just as Lin Chenran was working hard, there was a knock on the door. Then, Song Zian strode into his office with a thick stack of documents in his hand. "Lin boy, it's rare." Song Zian couldn't help but teasing when he saw Lin Chenran dealing with a mountain of documents with a serious face as soon as he entered the door. Hearing the voice, Lin Chenran looked up, glanced at him, and a wry smile crossed his face. "Ah, Mr. Song, you're here. I just got back and haven't had time to catch my breath, but I'm already dealing with documents. The documents are piled up like a mountain." He shook his head helplessly, but his pen never stopped scribbling on the documents. Song Zian replied with a smile, "Lin boy, I have a pile of documents that I need you to handle personally." "What? More?" Lin Chenran stopped his work and looked in surprise at Song Zian, who simply placed the documents on the table. "Ah. How come there are still so many?" Lin Chenran's mood instantly plummeted. Song Zian waved his hand helplessly. "Of course there are. The factory is very large now, with many projects. Although tasks and responsibilities are delegated, you still need to understand the big and small things going on in the factory. After all, you were away at the 704 shipyard for so many days. Business trips are fun, and they keep giving. But after the fun, there are bound to be after effects. This is the law." Song Zian immediately asked, "Lin boy, there is still a month and a half until the new year, so you don't need to go out anymore, right?" When Lin Chenran was on a business trip, all the matters big and small of the 077 mechanical arsenal fell on Song Zian, and he began to feel overwhelmed. The main reason was that Lin Chenran was on business trips too frequently. "No more business trips. I will have an in-depth understanding of the factory in this month and a half, and if there are any deficiencies, I will immediately arrange for rectification. I will also visit other factories, but I won't be away from the 077 mechanical arsenal for several consecutive days." As the new year approaches, Lin Chenran will be even busier. He needs to connect with the entire Yan state military. He also has to report on what projects the 077 mechanical arsenal has completed this year, as well as various matters. And the most important point is to gather the number of people and consider how much bonus to give out. Chapter 239 Brothers Meet. Time flies, and as we bid farewell to the old and usher in the new, a brand new year has quietly arrived. It seems that in the blink of an eye, it has already arrived in 1987. In the 077 machinery arsenal in Linjiang province, there is a busy scene. At this moment, Lin Chenran is sitting in a spacious and bright conference room, holding an annual summary meeting with a group of senior executives of the 077 machinery arsenal. In less than half a month, it will be the New Year's Eve of the new year, Lin Chenran said with a smile, and that smile spread across his cheeks like the warm spring sun, making people feel kind and warm. After a busy year, whether it is leaders or grassroots employees, everyone is eager to have a happy and peaceful new year, go home and have a good rest, get together with their families, and share the joy of family. The senior executives of the 077 machinery arsenal sitting below all looked at Lin Chenran in front of them. They all have the same expectation in their hearts. How much will this year's year-end bonus be? This is related to the harvest of everyone's hard work for a year. In recent years, thanks to the booming growth of companies like the 077 Machinery and Arsenal, the 704 Shipyard, and the second textile factory, the 077 Group has continued to expand, and its workforce has grown dramatically. According to previously reported headcounts from each factory, the 077 group now boasts a staggering 180,000 employees. Compared to last year, the total headcount has skyrocketed by a whopping 50,000. This astonishing growth undoubtedly demonstrates the 077 group's strong vitality and promising future. Lin Chenran sat at the head of the conference room, his gaze slowly sweeping across the eager faces below. He cleared his throat and spoke calmly. "I'm sure everyone wants to know about this year's year-end bonuses." The 077 machinery and arsenal executives below scratched their heads or smiled. Lin Chenran didn't keep them waiting for long, announcing, "This year's year-end bonuses will double the existing 20 million. 45 million yanbi." The moment he finished speaking, the entire conference room erupted in an uproar. Everyone's eyes widened, barely daring to believe the figures they were hearing. Then, Lin Chenran raised his voice again and said, "That's right, our year-end bonus this year is 45 million yanbi." At that moment, cheers and screams surged through the conference room like a tide. The usually steady and serious executives were now as excited as children. They hugged each other and released their inner joy. No one had expected that their young and promising factory director would be so helpful and successfully secure a huge year-end bonus of 45 million yanbi for them. "Thank you, Mr. Lin." Excited voices echoed one after another, and the executives of the 077 machinery arsenal almost expressed their gratitude to Lin Chenran in unison. In response to the crowd's thanks, Lin Chenran simply smiled and waved his hand, saying calmly, "You're welcome. This is what you all deserve. Thank you all for your hard work over the past year. It's thanks to each and every one of you, your dedication and selfless devotion, that our factory has continued to grow and achieve such remarkable results. This generous year-end bonus is the best reward for everyone's hard work." The long meeting lasted a full 3 hours, but surprisingly, the 077 machinery arsenal's executives didn't show any signs of fatigue. On the contrary, each face was filled with unconcealed excitement. Less than half an hour after the meeting ended, a piece of news spread throughout the 077 group's employees, sending their blood boiling. This year's year-end bonus totaled a staggering 45 million yanbi. This figure was like a brilliant light, instantly illuminating every employee's heart. In an instant, the entire 077 group was engulfed in jubilation, and employees cheered and leaped for joy. Compared to last year, this year's year-end bonuses are a whopping 25 million yanbi more. This means their bonuses will be even more generous. Who wouldn't want a bigger bonus? It would give them more confidence when they go home for the Lunar New Year, and they'd be more confident when they meet their family and friends. Undoubtedly, the 45 million yanbi year-end bonus from the 077 machinery and arms factory was a bombshell, sending shockwaves through the industry. Last year's enviable 20 million yanbi year-end bonus was even more jaw-dropping. This massive increase leaves other companies in the dust. Seeing the benefits at the 077 machinery and arms factory getting better year after year, many engineers were filled with various ideas. Some began searching for jobs at the 077 machinery and arms factory, while others set their sights on securing a dream position at its affiliated military units. Who wouldn't want a pay raise and benefits? After Lin Chenran finished explaining the various matters at hand one by one, he immediately began to prepare for the company's annual meeting. The annual meeting was grand in scale and the atmosphere was extremely warm, especially when the outstanding employees with outstanding performance in each factory were commended and rewarded, which pushed the entire event to a climax. Looking at the employees who were recognized for their hard work and whose faces were filled with pride and joy, Lin Chenran felt deeply gratified. Amidst laughter and joy, the annual meeting ended successfully. Afterwards, Lin Chenran boarded the plane and flew straight to the capital with a feeling of returning home, ready to go home to celebrate the Spring Festival. After a long journey, he finally arrived at the familiar door of his home. However, before he had time to rest for a while, he was told by his family to go to Grandpa Lin's study immediately. Lin Chenran couldn't help feeling helpless. He had just stepped into the house and hadn't even had a sip of water, but he had to go straight to the study. So he walked quickly to the door of the study, raised his hand and gently knocked on the heavy wooden door. Knock knock knock. The knock on the door echoed in the quiet corridor. Not long after, there was only a light sound, and the door of the study slowly opened. Lin Chenran looked closely and saw a familiar face that he hadn't seen for a long time. It was his brother Lin Zuan. "Brother, when did you come back? I'm so surprised." Lin Chenran couldn't hide his surprise, and while speaking, he stepped forward enthusiastically and gave Lin Zuan a big hug and smiled and teased, "Isn't your army always busy? You actually have a holiday to let you come back for the new year?" The unit where Lin Zuan is located is one of the most powerful army units in Yan country, and it is usually in a state of high alert and combat readiness on weekdays. As the chief officer of the unit, Lin Zuan shoulders heavy responsibilities, and it is not easy for him to take time out to go home and reunite with his family at this time. Chapter 240, Teasing. Lin Chenran's lips curled up slightly, and he continued teasingly with a hint of joking. "Not bad, brother. Your shoulder straps already have 2 bars and 3 stars. Wow, that's really impressive. When can you upgrade 2 more levels and become a golden star surrounded by golden branches and leaves? Don't forget to help me when you do." He winked at Lin Zuan with a mischievous look. At this moment, Lin Zuan raised his head and his eyes fell on Lin Chenran, who was talking eloquently and enthusiastically. Looking at this brother before him, who was so different from his memory, Lin Zuan couldn't help but feel emotional. Back then, his brother was an introverted and taciturn child, silent all day long, a real sullen person. However, now, when he walked into this familiar study, he seemed like a different person. Not only had he become cheerful and lively, but he also teased him mercilessly as soon as he opened his mouth. This huge transformation made Lin Zuan feel both pleasantly surprised and a little surprised. After all, such a change was really beyond his expectations. However, seeing his younger brother being able to express himself so confidently, Lin Zuan was sincerely happy for him. Then, the corners of Lin Zuan's mouth rose slightly, outlining a faint smile. He slowly counterattacked. "Oh, now I can only gain experience. I sincerely hope that our President Lin can help me more." After speaking, he deliberately blinked, revealing a cunning and sinister look. Then, he continued to tease, "You know, your influence in the army is far greater than mine. My brother's future happy life depends on you." When Lin Chenran heard this, he was suddenly struck by lightning. He froze in place, and the expression on his face became extremely wonderful. He opened his mouth, but for a long time no words came out, only a few mumbled syllables. "This, that." He silently groaned, wondering, how could he speak like that in front of the old man? At this moment, Lin Chenran and Lin Zuan exchanged glances. Lin Zuan's eyes seemed to say, "HMPH, you started this fight first. I'm just retaliating." Just then, old man Lin, who had been sitting quietly, coughed twice. The sound was not loud, but it suddenly interrupted the brothers' eye contact. "Grandpa." Lin Chenran and Lin Zuan shouted in unison, their tones filled with awe. As if under a spell, they immediately straightened their backs, put away their casual posture, and tried to appear dignified and composed. "Come and sit over here." Old man Lin patted the empty seat next to him, motioning for them to sit. So, Lin Chenran and Lin Zuan obediently walked to the sofa and sat down. Since no one else was present, Lin Chenran's normally dignified posture relaxed slightly, though still appearing casual and relaxed by most standards. However, even this subtle change didn't escape old man Lin's hawk-like gaze. He frowned slightly, then said in a slightly reproachful tone, "Look at the way you sit, young man. Have you let yourself go, just because you've become a leader?" Hearing this, Lin Chenran was taken aback for a moment, then smiled mischievously and replied, "Oh, Grandpa, don't be so serious. Since there's no one else around, of course I'm just going to do whatever feels right to me. HMPH, you brat." Old man Lin snorted, his face unable to conceal his fondness for his young grandson. Speaking of his 2 grandsons, old man Lin's heart was filled with pride and joy. His eldest grandson had joined the army, and, through his exceptional talent and tireless efforts, had now been awarded the rank of colonel, a truly promising young man. Judging by the current development trend, with a few more years of experience, he will surely achieve even greater things in the future. As for his grandson, Lin Chenran, he has chosen to work in the military industry. The 077 Machinery Arsenal, where he works, is a leading institution in the country. Whether it's equipment used by the Navy, Army, or Air Force, this factory has a hand in nearly every aspect and has achieved remarkable results. Lin Chenran's mouth corners rose slightly, revealing a sly smile. After making a little joke, he quickly restrained his expression and asked seriously, "Grandpa, you called me over specially, is there something important?" Old man Lin, who was sitting on the sofa, raised his eyebrows and asked directly, "Why can't you talk to my good grandson when you have nothing to do?" Lin Chenran scratched his head helplessly and smiled apologetically. "Of course, Grandpa can find me whenever he wants." Old man Lin nodded lightly, then his eyes became serious and he said, "Chenran, Grandpa asked you to come here today because I want to learn about the specific situation of the 077 mechanical arsenal, especially the design, research, and development, and manufacturing of several types of weapons and equipment for the military." Hearing this, Lin Chenran straightened up and answered seriously, "Grandpa, regarding the various types of weapons and equipment for the military, everything is normal and is proceeding as normal. The development momentum of the 077 mechanical arsenal is quite rapid. Now our entire 077 group has 180,000 employees, and this number will soar in the future. The 077 group has achieved remarkable success in both the military and civilian sectors." He paused briefly and continued, "Ever since 077 opened up a trade route between China and Russia, coupled with the active development of the Arctic Route project, and the gradual easing of relations between the two countries, the light industrial products produced by our factory have been in short supply and sold out instantly. The 077 machinery and military factory is also a leading domestic enterprise in textiles, food, and home appliances. They have a presence in both domestic and international markets." Mr. Lin listened to Lin Chenran's report, his smile never fading. He asked questions about things he didn't understand. "Chenran, our military has placed orders for so many frigates at once for your 704 shipyard. How are you going to build them all at once? Although your 704 shipyard has sufficient docks, I believe you won't give up the civilian market and will wholeheartedly prioritize naval orders." Mr. Lin inquired on behalf of the Yan Kingdom Navy. The 704 shipyard's docks also house Aegis missile destroyers. Building 4 frigates and a 4 Emperor's cruiser simultaneously was simply impossible. "Grandpa, let's outsource some of the orders and have other shipyards do the work for us. Let's all make money together and develop together." Chapter 241 Lin Chenran, brother, are you coming back to get the certificate? Although our 704 shipyard boasts ample and substantial dock facilities, we currently face a severe practical challenge, a lack of sufficient professional engineers and experienced, skilled workers. We can't recruit so many outstanding engineers and skilled frontline workers in such a short period of time. Hiring too many employees would overwhelm the 704 shipyard, causing the already high-speed machine to stagnate. This was not the outcome Lin Chenran desired. At this point, Lin Chenran paused briefly and did not continue. Elder Lin and Lin Zuan, sitting nearby, understood the unspoken meaning of his words. The 704 shipyard was not solely focused on accepting warship orders from the Yan Kingdom Navy. While these orders often offered high profit margins and held significant strategic significance, in the long run, the civilian ship market was the key to the shipyard's sustainable development. Compared to the relatively limited and unstable warship orders, the demand for civilian vessels was more widespread and enduring. With increasing domestic and international trade in the booming tourism industry, demand for various types of civilian vessels, including merchant ships and cruise ships, is increasing annually. Another important factor is that the Yan Navy's warship orders are not as continuous as people imagine. Due to the combined influence of various factors, including national military strategic planning, fiscal budgets, and the international situation, the placement of warship orders is often cyclical and uncertain. This means that, if the 704 shipyard relies too heavily on such orders, it could easily fall into business fluctuations or even stagnation. When Mr. Lin learned of Lin Chenran's decision to outsource some of the warship orders to other domestic shipyards through public bidding, he not only did not object, but expressed deep understanding and support. This approach is undoubtedly a wise one. On the one hand, it can fully utilize the human and material resources of other domestic shipyards to accelerate the construction of warships and fulfill the Yan Navy's orders. On the other hand, it can ensure that the 704 shipyards' other shipbuilding projects are not affected, maintaining a stable and efficient production rhythm. It truly kills two birds with one stone. At this moment, Grandpa Lin smiled kindly, nodding his head in praise. Chenran, this is a really good idea. It not only cleverly resolves the thorny problems currently faced by the rapid construction of warships, but also takes into account the construction of other ships at the 704 shipyard. It's very thoughtful. Lin Zuan, who was sitting quietly by the side, listened attentively to Lin Chenran's detailed report on the 077 mechanical arsenal. As Lin Chenran's story deepened, the expression on Lin Zuan's face gradually became one of astonishment. In just over 3 years, his younger brother had successfully created a huge business empire and an impressive military industry empire. This was truly incredible. Lin Zuan couldn't help but recall the 077 mechanical arsenal before his younger brother took over at that time. It was on the verge of bankruptcy. After his younger brother's meticulous construction and operation, it has been reborn and become a leader in the industry. With such a huge change, Lin Zuan deeply realized the immense hard work his younger brother had put in. After the Lin Chenran brothers finished their conversation with old man Lin in the study, they slowly walked out of the room and into the spacious, bright living room. As soon as they sat down, Lin Chenran couldn't contain his curiosity and eagerly asked, "Brother, I think you're coming home for the Lunar New Year. This time is something special. What's the reason?" Typically, important holidays like the Spring Festival coincide with the busiest times for the military. As the chief officer of a special operations regiment, Lin Zuan shouldered a heavy responsibility and logically couldn't easily leave the combat unit. Faced with his brother's questioning, Lin Zuan offered a wry smile of resignation before gently shaking his head. His brother was known for his exceptional intelligence and sharp thinking, instantly grasping the crux of the matter. Lin Zuan then leaned slightly closer, gently and gracefully leaning into Lin Chenran's ear. He deliberately lowered his magnetic voice, as if fearing the secret would take flight, and quietly explained the reason to Lin Chenran. "What? You are going to get a marriage certificate with Sister Wanjin?" After hearing the news, Lin Chenran was like being struck by a bolt from the blue, and the whole person froze in place for an instant. However, only a moment later, he came back to his senses from the shock, and a smile as bright as the sun bloomed on his handsome face. "Why haven't I received any news at all?" Lin Chenran widened his eyes, looking at Lin Zuan in disbelief, with a hint of anger in his words. Facing his brother's questioning, Lin Zuan was not in a hurry, with a slight smile on his lips, revealing a trace of confidence and calmness. "What's the matter? Do you think Wanjin and I need your consent before getting a marriage certificate?" His tone was a bit teasing. Hearing this, Lin Chenran was stunned at first, and then as if he realized something, he hurriedly waved his hands and said repeatedly, Of course not. Of course not." Then, he put on a flattering smile, nodded and bowed to Lin Zuan and said, "Brother, I'm here to wish you success in getting the beauty. May you and Sister Wanjin have a happy marriage, and give birth to a fat, white, and chubby boy or a well-behaved and cute little princess, as soon as possible. Our grandfather and parents are all looking forward to having great-grandchildren and grandchildren, as soon as possible. Come to think of it, my brother Lin Zuan and Zhang Wanjin have known each other and fallen in love for a long time. It's a pity that the unit that Lin Zuan belongs to has been in a highly tense state of combat readiness. It also shoulders the arduous task of attacking the main force of the monkeys, so that the marriage between the two of them has to be put on hold temporarily. Now that Lin Zuan has time to deal with his own lifelong affairs, Lin Chenran is naturally happy for his brother from the bottom of his heart. The Lin family had always had deep worries and concerns before. Lin Zuan is on the most dangerous frontline battlefield. That is a place where bullets and shells fly, and life and death are unpredictable. Every expedition may mean that you will never be able to return. Although Lin Zuan and Zhang family girl Zhang Wanjin are in love, the Lin family has never dared to rashly promote the further development of their relationship. Who wants to see a young girl in her prime become a widow so early? This tragedy is really unbearable. Coincidentally, the Zhang family actually has the same idea. They also felt sorry for their daughter and were afraid that if Lin Zuan died unfortunately, how would Zhang Wanjun live in the future? Chapter 242 A Small Gift. After careful consideration, the two families reached a consensus, deciding to allow Lin Zuan and Zhang Wanjun to get along for the time being, waiting for the situation to stabilize before making further plans. This was undoubtedly the most appropriate option for the Lin and Zhang families, as well as for Lin Zuan and Zhang Wanjun. The Yan Kingdom had achieved a resounding victory. Lin Zuan's troops had returned triumphantly from the front lines. Peace and tranquility had temporarily returned to both the country and the world, free from the turmoil of war. Now that the war was over, and life had returned to normal, it was natural to put matters on hold. Seeing the favorable situation, the Lin and Zhang families began actively preparing for Lin Zuan and Zhang Wanjun's wedding. Procrastination was not an option. Lin Zuan had already passed his 30s, approaching 32, and Zhang Wanjun was about to turn 30. Time was unforgiving. After consultation, both parents decided to take advantage of the new year to allow Lin Zuan and Zhang Wanjun to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to obtain their marriage certificate. As for the wedding, the Lin family and the Zhang family have the same idea, that is, to keep it simple. Although the Lin family is now in the limelight in the military and military industry, these glories are nothing but passing clouds and illusions. What is really important is to gain the appreciation of superiors while maintaining a low-key style of doing things. This concept is deeply rooted in the Lin family, and their approach has been fully understood by the Zhang family. Because the interests of both parties have long been closely tied together, no matter what they do, they must be cautious and careful, and must not leave any opportunities for those with ulterior motives. Lin Chenran thought about it, racking his brains to think about what kind of unique wedding gift he should give to his brother and sister-in-law. The preparations for this wedding are relatively simple and clean, but as a younger brother, he must do his part. After some hard thinking, Lin Chenran finally had an idea in mind, and his face showed confidence. Lin Chenran directly gave a wedding gift to his brother and future sister-in-law. A Sahalan, a courtyard house, in the heart of Kyoto. This ancient and elegant residence boasts not only a prime location, but also a rich historical and cultural heritage. There's also a car, a dazzling set of gold jewelry, including necklaces, bracelets, and earrings, each piece gleaming with a captivating brilliance. The traditional 3 rings and 1-turner radio, a sewing machine, a bicycle, and a watch are indispensable. When Lin Zuan heard his younger brother, Lin Chenran, announce the gift, he gasped. It was so extravagant. He stared at Lin Chenran in disbelief, his eyes widening as he muttered to himself, this, that. It took a while for him to regain his composure, but he still couldn't conceal his shock and astonishment. Especially a Sahalan. How much would that cost? And a car. Lin Zuan, how did you get so much money, kid? This whole thing must cost a lot. Lin Chenran waved his hand and said calmly, that's nothing. The money I have on my books right now is more than you can imagine. Then, Lin Chenran spoke before Lin Zuan could. This is all legal income, so don't worry. As the general manager of the 077 Mechanical Arsenal, Lin Chenran had a vast fortune from salary, bonuses, shares, and patents. Lin Zuan brought Zhang Wanjun to the Lin residence and was warmly welcomed by the family. Early in the morning, Lin Chenran was assigned by his mother-in-law to greet Lin Zuan and Zhang Wanjun at the door. Not long after, Lin Zuan and Zhang Wanjun came into view. Lin Chenran's eyes lit up, and he hurried to greet them. His eyes fell directly on Zhang Wanjun, completely ignoring Lin Zuan who was standing beside him. Zhang Wanjun was dressed in a light blue dress, as beautiful as a fairy. Her skin was as white as snow, crystal clear as if you could squeeze water out of it. Her background eyes were as bright as autumn water, clear and transparent. Her small and delicate nose was slightly tilted, making her look very playful and cute. Her 2 rows of neat white teeth shone like pearls, and there were 2 shallow dimples at the corners of her mouth, making her smile even more refreshing. Hello, sister-in-law Wanjun. It's been a long time since we last met. You are getting more and more beautiful. You are simply a fairy. Lin Chenran smiled and walked forward to greet her enthusiastically. Little Lin, it's been a long time since we last met. Look at how sweet you are. Zhang Wanjun couldn't help but blush when she heard Lin Chenran's praise and calling her sister-in-law, but she still responded with a smile. At this moment, Lin Chenran suddenly teased her mischievously. Sister-in-law Wanjun, to be honest, I really don't understand what you like about my brother. He was like a mute person all day long and couldn't say a word for a long time. As soon as these words came out, Lin Zuan on the side was not happy. He coughed twice to show his dissatisfaction. You little bastard, how dare you talk to your brother like that? You want to be beaten, right? But Lin Chenran was not panicked at all. He immediately looked for a backer. Sister-in-law Wanjun, look at my brother. Zhang Wanjun immediately turned around and looked at Lin Zuan beside her. A look instantly made the other party stop coughing and dared not make a sound. Then, Lin Chenran took Lin Zuan and Zhang Wanjun and slowly walked into the majestic Lin family mansion. At this moment, everyone in the Lin family had been looking forward to it in the spacious and bright hall for a long time. They were either standing or sitting, their eyes focused on the door. Zhang Wanjun looked very nervous. She held Lin Zuan's hand tightly, and her palms were slightly sweating. Although Zhang Wanjun had been to the Lin family many times before, this time was very different from the past. Because today, her identity is about to usher in a major change from a future daughter-in-law to a formal promotion to a prospective daughter-in-law. This role change made her feel both expectant and uneasy. After taking a deep breath, Zhang Wanjun plucked up the courage to step forward and greeted everyone with a smile. Grandpa Lin, Uncle Lin, Auntie, hello everyone. Her voice was clear and sweet, like the sound of a yellow oriole singing in a valley. At this time, Lin Chenran's mother, Liang Keixia, came up with a smile on her face, took Zhang Wanjun's hand enthusiastically and said, Wanjun, come and sit here. Liang Keixia looked at the gentle and lovely Zhang Wanjun in front of her, and her heart was filled with joy. She was looking forward to drinking this cup of daughter-in-law tea as soon as possible. However, due to the special nature of Lin Zuan's military service, this wish had never been realized. Now that Lin Zuan has finally settled down, this cup of daughter-in-law tea that she had longed for can finally be tasted as she wished. Thinking of this, Liang Keixia couldn't help but think, I finally waited for you, and I'm glad I didn't give up. Chapter 243, I got what I wanted, and drank my wife's tea. I once thought that I would never be able to taste the cup of fragrant tea, wife-in-law tea, served by my wife, but now my wish has come true. The smile on Liang Keixia's face was as bright as the blooming spring flowers, and she couldn't help it. Zhang Wanjun, who was standing next to her, was in sharp contrast. Her nervousness instantly soared to the peak. Her hands unconsciously clenched the corners of her clothes, and her eyes flickered. Lin Chenran saw all of this. He gently bumped Lin Zuan next to him with his shoulder, signaling him to quickly go and rescue his wife. Although Lin Zuan usually behaves quite dull in terms of emotions, he is not ambiguous when it comes to IQ. After getting Lin Chenran's hint, he immediately understood and walked quickly to Zhang Wanjun, trying to ease her nervousness. There was really no way who made his own mother Liang Keixia too enthusiastic. This enthusiasm was like a burning flame, which made people a little overwhelmed. Fortunately, after some brief small talk, everyone gradually relaxed, the atmosphere becoming more relaxed and cheerful, and they naturally got straight to the point. Liang Keixia, still smiling, said gently, Wanjun, you've suffered so much all these years, waiting so long for this good-for-nothing brat of ours. Hearing this, Zhang Wanjun quickly shook her head and replied, Auntie, don't say that. I don't find it hard at all. Zhang Wanjun looked lovingly at Lin Zuan, who scratched his head with a silly grin. Unexpectedly, Liang Keixia couldn't wait to interrupt her before she finished speaking. Hey, why call me auntie? We are about to become a real family. Call me mom. Zhang Wanjun was slightly startled when she heard it. After hesitating for a moment, she finally plucked up the courage to call out softly, Mom. Liang Keixia was so happy when she heard it that she kept saying, hey, my good wife. Then, she smiled, her eyes full of expectation and concern, and continued to ask, Wanjun, when are you going to get the marriage certificate with my little brat? Her tone was full of anxiety about their marriage, but also full of blessings. Upon hearing this, Zhang Wanjun, sitting nearby, lowered her head slightly, her cheeks flushing. In a soft melodious voice, as sweet as a nightingale, she replied, "Mom, don't worry. We've already agreed to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow to get the certificate." Everyone smiled with satisfaction and relief upon hearing this, as if a heavy weight had finally been lifted from their hearts. They were truly delighted that this wonderful matter had proceeded so smoothly. At this moment, old Master Lin, who had been silent until then, suddenly spoke up. "Wanjun, I'm really sorry. You and Zuana's wedding can only be simple. I can't give you a grand and luxurious ceremony." As he spoke, a hint of guilt crossed his face. Although the Lin family was currently at its peak, they still needed to proceed with caution. However, Zhang Wanjun waved her hands nonchalantly, her face still brimming with a smile as warm and gentle as the spring sun. She quickly said, "Grandpa, please don't think that. Actually, I told Lin Zuan a long time ago that our wedding can be simple. There's no need for extravagance or ostentation." Seeing Zhang Wanjun's understanding and reasonableness, Lin Chenran, standing nearby, couldn't help but interject, "Sister-in-law Wanjun, don't worry. Even if your wedding with my brother is just a simple one, with a few relatives and friends over for a meal, our Lin family will never let you suffer the slightest injustice. I've prepared a wedding gift for you. Consider it a token of my gratitude as your younger brother. Wanjun, I have a gift for you too." Liang Kexia smiled and reached into her pocket, carefully removing an exquisitely wrapped gift box. She gently opened the lid, her movement so gentle that she seemed afraid to wake the slumbering treasure within. In an instant, a dazzling light flashed before everyone's eyes, revealing an exquisite bracelet radiating a captivating luster. "Wanjun, this bracelet is a family heirloom left by Grandma Lin Zuan, specifically passed down to the daughter-in-law of the Lin family. I'm passing it on to you now," Liang Kexia said softly, looking at Zhang Wanjun with gentle eyes. This can't be, Mom. This is something Grandma left for you. How can I accept it?" Zhang Wanjun's face was filled with astonishment, and she quickly waved her hands in defiance. Liang Kexia didn't give Zhang Wanjun any chance to refuse. She swiftly grabbed the bracelet and expertly slipped it onto Zhang Wanjun's left wrist. "Oh, Mom, I really can't. Please take it off and give it back to me." Zhang Wanjun was so anxious that she was almost crying. She struggled to break free from Liang Kexia's grasp, repeating her refusal. "Take it. Don't refuse anymore." Liang Kexia deliberately put on a stern face and pretended to be angry. At the same time, she gently patted the back of Zhang Wanjun's hand, signaling her not to move. Then, Liang Kexia slowed down her tone a little and continued to explain, "Lin Chenran's future wife will also have an identical bracelet. Our family treats everyone equally and will never favor one over the other, so you can accept it with confidence." Hearing this, Zhang Wanjun subconsciously turned around and looked at Lin Zuan, who had remained silent, with a look of help. Lin Zuan nodded slightly, giving her an encouraging and supportive look, and whispered, "Wanjun, since it's a kind gift from your mother, just accept it with confidence." Seeing Lin Zuan's words, Lin Chenran also smiled and echoed, "Sister-in-law Wanjun, don't be polite. We'll all be family from now on. If you don't accept it, when my wife comes home, how will she have the courage to accept this gift?" For a moment, the entire living room was filled with cheerful laughter, and the atmosphere became particularly harmonious. Zhang Wanjun blushed and lowered her head, thinking about how to properly keep this precious gift. After Lin Zuan and Zhang Wanjun returned to their room, they whispered to each other, "Lin Zuan, why didn't you speak up for me just now? It made me very nervous and embarrassed." Zhang Wanjun began to complain. "Hey, wife, it's my fault." Lin Zuan hurriedly stepped forward to admit his mistake. "Wife, why are you putting the bracelet away? It looks really nice on you." Lin Zuan saw this and immediately stepped forward to stop her. "This bracelet is so expensive, I'm afraid it will get lost." Zhang Wanjun hurriedly explained. "Since it is to be passed on to the daughter-in-law, then put it away. That's nothing. The gifts given by Chenran are expensive." Lin Zuan directly told them the list of gifts that Lin Chenran wanted to give to himself and Zhang Wanjun. You can't do that. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. we cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 244. Brother and sister-in-law get married. Zhang Wanjun's eyes widened, her face filled with disbelief. She stared at Lin Zuan, as if trying to discern something from his face. Her voice trembled slightly as she asked, "Chenran, why would he suddenly send us so many things?" After a brief pause, as if feeling the question wasn't deep enough, she pressed on, "Where exactly did all this money come from? And did Grandpa and the others know about this?" Previously, Lin Zuan had briefly told Zhang Wanjun about Lin Chenran's situation. According to Lin Zuan, Lin Chenran had always worked in the military industry, rising to the prestigious position of director of military factory at a young age. Even so, he couldn't afford a courtyard house in the imperial capital, a brand new car, a complete set of gold and silver jewelry, and 3 turns and 1 ring. His wife's barrage of questions made Lin Zuan smile wryly. He first sighed softly, and then slowly explained, "Wife, don't underestimate that kid Chenran. The wealth he holds in his hands is not what ordinary people can imagine. It is no exaggeration to say that he is richer than 90% of the people in this country." At this point, Lin Zuan deliberately emphasized his tone and continued, "All of his wealth is completely legal and compliant, and it is all strictly protected by national laws. Monthly salary, year-end bonus, factory stock dividends, plus the income he gets from selling some of the advanced technologies he developed to other companies, as well as various benefits given to him by his partners who cooperated with him, etc. In short, he has many ways to make money." Early the next morning, Lin Zuan and Zhang Wanjun set out on the road to get their marriage certificate with everyone's blessings. Liang Kexia quietly approached Lin Chenran, who was in a trance. When the distance was close enough, she suddenly stretched out her right hand, grabbed Lin Chenran's delicate ear accurately with lightning speed, and lifted it up with force. At the same time, Liang Kexia's originally amiable face instantly turned ferocious. She kept cursing, "Stinky boy, when can you bring a wife back to me? Your brother, who is so dull, has a wife. Let's go and get the marriage certificate today, and then we'll see you." Lin Chenran was suddenly attacked. He felt a sharp pain in his ear. He couldn't help but yelling at the top of his voice, "Ouch, my dear mother, it hurts. Let go of me, someone's going to die." Hearing her son's pig-slaughtering screams, Liang Kexia's heart finally softened. Although she was not forgiving in her words, this was a piece of flesh that fell from her body after all. So, she slowly loosened her hand that was tightly holding Lin Chenran's ear. Lin Chenran, who regained his freedom, felt as if he had been pardoned. He hurriedly stood up and took a few steps back to keep a certain safe distance from his mother. Then, he gently rubbed his ears that had just been pulled red and hot with his hands and muttered in a low voice, "Oh my god, you are too cruel. You almost pulled my ears off alive." However, Liang Kexia didn't buy it. She put her hands on her hips, stared with wide eyes and said, "Huh, it's better to pull it off. Who told you to worry about me and not listen to me at all?" Then, she began to scold Lin Chenran again. "Every time I told you about finding a wife, you always find various excuses to shirk it. What do you want?" After saying these words, Liang Kexia no longer paid attention to Lin Chenran, who looked aggrieved. She turned around and strode towards the living room. Lin Chenran was left standing there alone, smiling helplessly and shaking his head, muttering to himself, "Alas, finding a wife is not that easy. This is not like going to the street to buy vegetables. You can just pick and choose and find the right one." Then he felt a chill all over his body. He turned around and left the place and returned to the room. Not long after, Lin Zuan and Zhang Wanjun walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau hand in hand, with happy faces. In their hands, they tightly grasped the little red book that symbolizes love and commitment, the marriage certificate. As soon as he got home, Lin Zuan couldn't contain his inner joy and deliberately waved the small marriage certificate proudly in front of his younger brother Lin Chenran. He also shook and winked, just like a child, as if to say provocatively, "I have it and you? What do you think? Are you envious? Haha." Lin Chenran looked at his brother's childish look and couldn't help rolling his eyes, then quickly fought back with his eyes. TSK. Childish ghost. It's just a certificate. Look how proud you are. The next morning, the sun shone through the thin clouds and fell on the magnificent mansion of the Lin family. The Lin family was busy. Although only close friends and several important relatives were invited to attend the wedding of Lin Zuan and Zhang Huajun. This also requires careful planning. When the banquet just began, an assistant hurried into the banquet hall and whispered to Mr. Lin, who was sitting in the main seat. After listening to this, Mr. Lin's expression changed slightly, and then he immediately stood up and arranged. Chenran, Lin Zuan, Huajun, you hurry out to wait and greet. There are distinguished guests coming. Not long after, a number of black Hanki cars slowly drove in and stopped in front of the Lin family's door. When the car door opened, the first thing that came into view was the majestic and amiable figure of the leader, followed by several high-ranking military leaders. Seeing this, Lin Chenran, Lin Zuan and Zhang Huajun did not dare to be negligent and hurried forward to greet them. Lin Zuan couldn't help but feel excited and awe. He quickly tidied his clothes, then stood upright with a serious face. He saluted with a standard military salute and shouted, "Hello, leaders." The leader smiled and nodded and responded, "Zhao Lin, today is your and Huajun's wedding day. We came here specially to ask for a glass of wedding wine." Then, he patted Lin Zuan on the shoulder and said kindly, "Don't be so serious and nervous. Relax a little." How could Lin Zuan really relax at this time? Facing such a heavyweight figure, he felt his heartbeat quicken, and a thin layer of sweat appeared on his forehead. On the other hand, Lin Chenran on the side seemed particularly calm, as if this kind of scene had long been commonplace, with a heartless look. However, Lin Zuan quickly adjusted his state and respectfully led the big leader and several senior military leaders into the gate of the Lin family. Witnessed by everyone, Lin Zuan and Zhang Huajun officially became husband and wife. It was also reported that the big leader came to the Lin family to attend the wedding banquet of Lin Zuan and Zhang Huajun. This is a very important signal. In the past, the Lin family only had a certain influence in the military. With the rise of Lin Chenran, their influence in the military industry has become increasingly greater. Chapter 245. Spring Festival passes. Saudi Arabia wants warships in Canal region. Time flies by like a white horse, and the warm and joyful Spring Festival has become a thing of the past in the blink of an eye. On the 8th day of the first lunar month, Lin Chenran had to bid farewell to his familiar and warm home in the imperial capital, and boarded a plane to return to Linjiang province. Originally, he had planned to enjoy the Lantern Festival before returning, but his kind and nagging mother kept nagging him all day long, and he really couldn't bear it. Arranging blind dates for himself every day. Who can stand this? Go back for 3 days, and your son is a treasure. After 3 days, you are like a jewel. Why are you still at home? In desperation, Lin Chenran had to end his vacation early and pack his bags to return to Linjiang province. At the same time, the 077 machinery arsenal in Linjiang province gradually became lively, and employees from all over the country returned to their respective jobs. In order to let everyone adjust their status as soon as possible and devote themselves to the work of the new year, Lin Chenran, as the person in charge, decided to hold a high-level meeting. The theme of this meeting was very clear: to focus and make a general plan for the work of the whole year. After the long spring festival holiday, everyone had a lot of fun and relaxation. Now that they are back to work, they must first gather their minds and start a new journey with the best mental outlook and work attitude. At the beginning of the new year, various affairs are numerous and complicated. Only by making proper arrangements in advance can we ensure that the work plan for the whole year can be smoothly implemented. When Lin Chenran stepped into the conference room, the senior leaders present stood up to greet him. Everyone sat down according to their respective seating order early in the morning. This highly anticipated important meeting finally slowly unveiled its mysterious and solemn prelude. The spacious and bright conference room was filled with an atmosphere of tension and expectation. Lin Chenran, seated at the head of the table, wore a solemn expression. His deep eyes scanned the assembled audience, and he spoke in a deep, powerful voice. The joyous and peaceful spring festival has passed us by like a fleeting moment, and a new year filled with hope and challenges has quietly arrived. At this critical juncture, we must quickly gather our minds and focus our entire energy on our work. Upon hearing this, the senior executives of the 077 machinery arsenal nodded in agreement. Many employees in his department, still immersed in the relaxed and joyful atmosphere of the recent Spring Festival holiday, seemed a bit unfocused. Now that the Spring Festival holiday had concluded, it was time for everyone to quickly regain their focus and fully devote themselves to their busy work. Seeing these executives so proactively responding to his call, Lin Chenran's face lit up with a subtle smile of relief. Then, Lin Chenran methodically began to arrange the work plan and task assignments for the 077 machinery arsenal throughout the year. Every task was detailed, every objective clearly defined. From developing new products to improving production efficiency, from optimizing processes to strengthening quality control, every move was meticulously planned and carefully considered. Time flew by amidst heated discussions and rigorous decision making, and before anyone knew it, this momentous meeting had stretched on for over 3 hours. Though the attendees felt a touch exhausted, a determined glint shone in their eyes, as if filled with confidence in the future. The meeting concluded successfully to resounding applause. Within less than an hour, the final decisions reached every employee. Upon receiving this crucial news, the previously relaxed and unorganized employees were instantly energized and sprang into action. They quickly adjusted their mental state, completely casting aside any previous complacency. Now, each face shone with seriousness and earnestness, their eyes gleaming with unwavering resolve. They understood the hard work that went into this work. High salaries, generous benefits, and a mouth-wateringly large year-end bonus for those working in a third-tier military factory. It was a dream. Such generous conditions were unimaginable in other similar factories, and even rarer in the industry. No one wanted to let a job slip away, let alone see it taken by someone else. Consequently, everyone worked with unprecedented enthusiasm and focus, throwing themselves wholeheartedly into the intense and hectic work at hand. Camel Region, Saudi State. At this time, Abdul received an order from his superiors to visit Yan State to inspect their Aegis missile destroyers. Although the Camel Region, Saudi State had paid its dues to obtain a batch of medium-range ballistic missiles, deterring hostile forces, the threat at sea remained. The arrival of Yan State's Aegis missile destroyers caught the attention of Saudi officials in the Camel region. There is also information sent back by the Camel Boy intelligence personnel that Yan country has started a project to build new frigates and cruisers. The high-ranking naval officials of Saudi Arabia in the Camel area want Abdul to go to Yan country to confirm, and if possible, purchase a few medium-sized frigates from the other side to deal with the hostile forces and pirates in the Camel Sea. Abdul was completely puzzled. Has the shipbuilding industry in Yan country risen? Why did Lin Chenran tell him before that he could not undertake large warships? Did Yan country obtain the secret shipbuilding technology from the Russian Bear? But after the Aegis missile destroyer was built, Yan country and the Russian Bear have not jointly developed the Arctic route. Why is this? Did Lin Chenran deceive me? Many questions arose in Abdul's mind. Abdul thought to himself, don't think about it, just go to Yan country to find the answer. Then he directly contacted Lin Chenran, who was far away in Yan country's 077 mechanical arsenal, by telegram. Lin Chenran took the telegram in his hand and browsed the content on it with a look of surprise when the Saudi kingdom in the Camel region comes to offer warmth again. In this case, Lin Chenran would certainly not refuse the other party's kindness and immediately sent a reply telegram asking Abdul to come to Yan country and give good things to the Saudi kingdom in the Camel region. Missile destroyer? Frigate? Cruiser? Those are all child's play. The Saudi kingdom in the Camel region wants warships, right? Learn about light aircraft carriers. Lin Chenran wanted to make the Saudi kingdom in the Camel region a guinea pig in the military shipbuilding industry of Yan country, and first build a light aircraft carrier for the other party. The Japanji country, which has a good life, has the ability to transform cruisers into light aircraft carriers. Lin Chenran believes that the 704 shipyard also has such strength. Chapter 246. Yan country navy is going to build new ships? Linjiang Province 077 Mechanical Arsenal. At this time, Lin Chenran was in a spacious and bright office, concentrating on the work at hand. Suddenly, the black phone on the desk rang without warning, breaking the original tranquility in the room. Lin Chenran frowned slightly and stopped writing. He took a deep breath, gently put down the document in his hand, stood up, walked to the desk, and reached out to pick up the phone receiver. "Hello, this is Lin Chenran. Who are you?" Lin Chenran's tone was very respectful, but also a little confused. A slightly vicissitudes of life, but full of energy came from the other end of the phone. "Lin boy, it's me." When Lin Chenran heard the familiar voice, his face immediately showed surprise, and he quickly said, "Mr. Zhang, it's you." He was surprised when he heard Mr. Zhang's voice, and then fell into thought. What is the important matter that Mr. Zhang called suddenly? Does he want to know about the design and development of the White Shark frigate and the Four Emperors cruiser? There is no reason. There are people from the Yan Kingdom Navy at the 704 shipyard, and the daily updates are transmitted back. Why is that? Just when Lin Chenran was racking his brains to think, Mr. Zhang did not give him too much time, but said directly, "In 2 days, I will bring a top engineer to your 704 shipyard. Please come. Our Navy needs your help in designing and developing a new ship. We will discuss the specific requirements in person." After speaking, he decisively hung up the phone without waiting for Lin Chenran to react. Listening to the busy tone coming from the phone, Lin Chenran was stunned. Lin Chenran, so mysterious. Maybe telephone communication is inconvenient, and they can only contact offline. Since the Yan Kingdom Navy has made clear requirements, he has no other choice but to go to the 704 shipyard in person. Thinking of this, Lin Chenran turned to his assistant Xiao Liang and said, "Xiao Liang, please help me contact Mr. Song and ask him to come to my office." Not long after, there was a sound of hurried footsteps coming from afar, and then the office door was pushed open, and a figure appeared at the door. Song Xian walked into the room panting and sweating. Seeing Song Xian like this, Lin Chenran quickly stood up and pointed to the high-end sofa next to him and said, "Mr. Song, don't be anxious, sit down and have a rest." At the same time, he signaled his assistant Xiao Liang to give Song Xian a cup of hot tea to quench his thirst. Xiao Liang quickly brewed 2 cups of steaming hot tea and brought them in, placing them on the table in front of Lin Chenran and Song Xian. Lin Chenran picked up the teacup with a smile, blew the hot air from the rim of the cup, and then took a sip, feeling the fragrance and warmth of the tea. Song Xian also took a sip of hot tea and calmed his breathing a little. After a short pause, Lin Chenran put down the teacup, looked at Song Xian, and said straight to the point, "Mr. Song, I have to go on a business trip. My destination is 704 shipyard. I need to trouble you to take care of all the big and small things in the factory." Song Xian, who was originally smiling, froze a smile on his face when he heard this, as if it was tightly strangled by an invisible hand. The cup of hot tea in his hand seemed to have lost its appeal all of a sudden, and it was no longer so sweet and delicious. "Why do you have to go on a business trip again?" Song Xian secretly groaned in his heart. Every time Lin Chenran went on a business trip, the old man would be very busy. He had to worry about and take care of all the big and small things in the factory. Complaints are complaints. Everything is for the 077 mechanical arsenal. Song Xian asked, "What exactly is the reason for going to the 704 shipyard this time?" "Just now, a senior naval official, Mr. Zhang, called me and mysteriously asked me to go to the 704 shipyard. Their navy wants to build a ship." Lin Chenran waved his hand helplessly. He didn't know what the Yan Kingdom Navy was up to. Without explaining, he directly asked Lin Chenran to go to the 704 shipyard. Then, Song Xian was speechless. Is the Yan Kingdom Navy so unreliable? Then Lin Chenran continued, "Abdul from the Saudi Kingdom in the Camel region will also come to the country soon. They want to purchase warships." Song Xian was shocked when he heard this. What? The Saudi Kingdom in the Camel region wants to purchase warships again? What's going on? Lin Chenran didn't know what was wrong with the Saudi Kingdom in the Camel region and said helplessly, "It's possible that the Aegis missile destroyer is too excellent, so." Song Xian was speechless. The Saudi Kingdom in the Camel region really only looks at good things. As long as money can solve the problem, they will use money directly. Technology. The Saudi Kingdom in the Camel region, I understand it too. Spending money lavishly. The Yan Kingdom, the Saudi Kingdom understands technology. Time flies, and a new day comes quietly. After Lin Chenran explained the various matters of the 077 mechanical arsenal to Song Zian, he took several personnel from the 077 mechanical arsenal to the 704 shipyard. After arriving at the 704 shipyard, Lin Chenran directly convened a high-level meeting. When the senior executives of the 704 shipyard arrived at the conference room, the meeting officially began. Lin Chenran got straight to the point. Everyone, tomorrow the Navy will be sending someone to our 704 shipyard to discuss building a new type of ship. Pan zooming, standing nearby, couldn't help but ask, "Boss Lin, what kind of ship does the Navy want us to design?" The 704 shipyard executives nodded in agreement, eager to learn what kind of ships the Yan Kingdom Navy needed. Lin Chenran scratched his head helplessly. That's a good question. I'll ask when Mr. Zhang arrives. He had no idea what the Yan Kingdom Navy was up to. That, no way. So secretive? The 704 shipyard executives immediately erupted in discussion. Soon, the discussion grew louder and more intense. Lin Chenran coughed, and the chatter in the meeting room faded. Whatever the Navy's requirements, since they want us at 704 shipyard to help them design and develop something, it's a tremendous honor for us, Lin Chenran said solemnly. Yes, this is an honorable task. Why not give it to other shipyards, but to 704 shipyard? Isn't it because the Yan State Navy values 704 shipyard very much? This is honor. Time passed quietly like a white horse passing by. The next day, Lin Chenran and everyone from 704 shipyard waited for the arrival of the Yan State Navy in front of the complex building. Soon, the Yan State Navy's convoy slowly drove in. As soon as the car stopped, Zhang Liao and others got off in an orderly manner. At this time, Lin Chenran saw a very familiar person from the crowd. He rubbed his eyes again in disbelief. How is it possible? Chapter 247, Nuclear Submarine to Conduct Deep Sea Testing? Lin Chenran rubbed his sore eyes vigorously, his gaze fixed on the figure before him. After double checking, a wave of excitement welled up in his heart. It was indeed him. Unable to contain his excitement, Lin Chenran quickly stepped forward, his voice trembling slightly as he respectfully greeted, "Mr. Huang, hello. Welcome to the 704 shipyard to guide our work." This Mr. Huang before him was no ordinary man. He was the chief designer of Yan Nation's first generation nuclear submarines, and was hailed as the father of Yan's nuclear submarines. Lin Chenran had never imagined that the mysterious and top-notch engineer Mr. Zhang had mentioned was Mr. Huang. Mr. Huang, with a kind and benevolent smile, responded warmly, "You are the Chenran that Mr. Zhang has been praising so much, right? It's true that the young are formidable. As the saying goes, the waves behind push forward, and each generation is stronger than the last." After a brief and friendly exchange of greetings, Lin Chenran, not wanting to be indifferent, quickly led the group to the meeting room. Along the way, Lin Chenran's mind was spinning rapidly, secretly speculating about why Mr. Huang and his group came to the 704 shipyard this time. After all, the person standing in front of him was the father of Yan's nuclear submarine. When everyone took their seats, before Lin Chenran could ask, Mr. Huang directly stated his purpose. "We came to the 704 shipyard this time in the hope that the 704 shipyard could undertake an important task, design and develop a deep-sea exploration and rescue submersible." As soon as these words came out, all the senior executives of the 704 shipyard present were slightly startled, and their brows instantly frowned. Everyone looked puzzled, and they were obviously very puzzled by this sudden request. Why design and develop a deep-sea exploration and rescue submersible? When Lin Chenran, who was listening quietly on the side, heard this, it was as if a flash of lightning passed through his mind, and he suddenly realized it. He finally understood why Elder Huang, and indeed the entire Yan Nation Navy, had asked their 704 shipyard such a special task to design and develop a deep-sea exploration and rescue submersible. Lin Chenran frowned slightly, a look of caution and curiosity in his eyes. He cautiously asked, "Elder Huang, are our nuclear submarines undergoing deep-sea testing? Testing their performance to its limits?" At this moment, Elder Huang and Elder Zhang beside him exchanged glances, a clear look of surprise evident in their gazes. They hadn't expected the seemingly youthful Lin Chenran to possess such keen insight, able to quickly grasp the crux of the matter from mere clues. Elder Zhang, with a pleased smile on his face, said, "You're quite something, boy. You always surprise us. I didn't expect you to be able to discern clues from such limited information. I have to admire your exceptionally keen sense." The 704 shipyard executive standing nearby seemed increasingly baffled. Yan Nation's first generation of nuclear submarines was successfully delivered to the Navy and commissioned back in 1974, a full 13 years having passed. Logically, after such a long period of operation and refinement, the submarine's performance should have stabilized by now. So why were they suddenly undergoing extreme depth submergence tests? What hidden secrets were hidden within? For a moment, everyone's minds were filled with questions and speculation, and a deep silence fell. Then, Elder Huang coughed lightly and began to explain in detail. Although the first generation of nuclear submarines had been delivered to the Navy and commissioned, they had never undergone extreme depth submergence tests. Yan Nation's first generation of nuclear submarines were all deployed in the northern waters. The conditions in the northern waters are vastly different from those in the south. The waters there are not as deep as those in the south. While the southern waters are bottomless, the northern waters are much shallower. It was for this reason that extreme depth submergence tests were initially deemed unnecessary. Furthermore, the international situation at the time was extremely dire, and the nation urgently needed nuclear submarines to deter other nations that were eyeing them covetously. You get it. With the international situation undergoing dramatic changes, Yan's nuclear submarines cannot remain confined to minor operations in northern waters. They must operate throughout the entire waters. This necessitates extreme deep dive testing of the nuclear submarine. To ensure the safety of this test, a high-performance deep-sea exploration and rescue submersible is essential. In the event of any unforeseen event, this submersible would be able to quickly and accurately locate and successfully rescue all officers and soldiers trapped within the nuclear submarine, tucked away in the unfathomable depths and lurking peril. The Yan Navy must ensure absolute safety. It must guarantee the safety of all its soldiers. Furthermore, it must instill in its soldiers a deep conviction that, even if a nuclear submarine were to lose control and plunge into the unfathomable depths, the nation would be able to rescue them. After Mr. Huang's explanation, the senior management of the 704 shipyard suddenly understood. So, the design, development, and construction of a deep-sea exploration and rescue submersible was indeed necessary. This was crucial to the safety of all submarine crew members. With deep-sea exploration and rescue submersibles, submariners would have fewer concerns and rapidly improve their combat effectiveness. Submarine soldiers have the hardest job of all military branches, and also the most dangerous. Not only do they have to fight the enemy with bayonets, but they also have to contend with the unfathomable depths of the ocean. Deep-sea exploration and rescue submersibles offer a significant safety guarantee. Lin Chenran pondered for a moment before expressing his concerns. "Mr. Zhang, how many deep-sea exploration and rescue submersibles have your Navy purchased, designed, and developed by our 704 shipyard?" Deep-sea exploration and rescue submersibles are extremely difficult to develop. The specialized composite materials used must be very strong. Most importantly, they must be able to withstand the impact of deep-sea water pressure. The 704 shipyard needs to select the finest special composite materials. If they don't have them domestically, they will need to research and develop them themselves. Furthermore, since no domestic deep-sea exploration and rescue submersibles have been designed, developed, or manufactured, the 704 shipyard is struggling. Deep-sea exploration and rescue submersibles are extremely expensive to build. One deep-sea exploration and rescue submersible can replace an entire warship. That. Elder Zhang couldn't come up with an answer at this point. As expected, the Yan Kingdom Navy could only purchase 1 to 3 deep-sea exploration and rescue submersibles. Any more would just sit there gathering dust in a warehouse, or be used for training at sea. Deep-sea exploration and rescue submersibles were only used in specific circumstances. That's right, when a submarine sank to the bottom of the ocean and needed to be rescued. Chapter 248, Jiadalang Deep Sea Exploration and Rescue Submersible. Upon hearing this news, the 704 shipyard executives present felt a sudden sinking of the heart, as if a huge rock had suddenly struck them. The Yan Kingdom Navy had purchased such a small quantity of these deep-sea exploration and rescue submersibles. This meant that the 704 shipyard would likely not even be able to recoup the enormous initial investment in design and development. Even more troubling, these deep-sea exploration and rescue submersibles were virtually non-existent in both the domestic and international markets, leaving no other buyers to share the cost and risk. Thinking of this, Lin Chenran could no longer sit still. He immediately stood up, put on a pitiful look, and said to Mr. Zhang, who was sitting opposite him, "Mr. Zhang, although our 704 shipyard is very willing to serve the country and take on the important task of designing and developing this deep-sea exploration and rescue submersible, the purchase quantity is really too small. Our 704 shipyard is directly investing a large amount of money in it. You also know that our factory is just starting to pick up." As soon as the voice fell, the other senior executives of the 704 shipyard present nodded in agreement, expressing their full agreement with Lin Chenran's opinion. Faced with the complaints of the crowd, the leaders of the Yan Kingdom Navy suddenly became a little at a loss. At this time, I saw Mr. Zhang frown slightly and sighed softly. After thinking silently for a while, he finally made up his mind and said firmly, "Okay. This cost will be paid by our Navy." What Lin Chenran said was indeed correct. Deep-sea exploration and rescue submersibles had almost no market share. Even if the design is developed, it likely won't be sold. Pan Zooming, standing nearby, looked anxious, his eyes fixed on Mr. Huang. He asked, "Mr. Huang, when can we conduct the ultimate deep dive test of our Navy's nuclear submarine?" This required an approximate timeline to be provided to the 704 shipyard. They were to deliver the deep-sea exploration and rescue submersible to the Yan Kingdom Navy within that specified time frame. Elder Huang fell into another brief moment of contemplation. After a few seconds, he suddenly raised his head, a glint of determination in his eyes, and replied decisively, "According to the current plan, if nothing unexpected happens, our nuclear submarine will begin extreme deep dive testing in the second half of next year. Once the test is successful, the nuclear submarine will be rapidly deployed throughout our nation's maritime waters to undertake important national defense missions." Then, as if remembering something, Elder Huang added, "If your 704 shipyard can expedite and efficiently build the deep-sea exploration and rescue submersible, the extreme deep dive testing can be brought forward. The current international situation is rapidly changing and complex, and the Yan Kingdom Navy cannot afford even the slightest procrastination or delay. That means we will design, develop, manufacture, and deliver the deep-sea exploration and rescue submersible to your Navy within a year and a half," Lin Chenran said calmly. A senior Yan Kingdom Navy official nodded. Then, Lin Chenran turned and glanced at Pan Zooming, and the two exchanged glances. "No problem. Our 704 shipyard guarantees to complete the task." Lin Chenran patted his chest and gave an affirmative answer. Mr. Huang then put forward his various requirements for this deep-sea exploration and rescue submersible. The senior executives of the 704 shipyard wrote down the requirements put forward by Mr. Huang. Watching the convoy of the senior leaders of the Yan Kingdom Navy go farther and farther, and finally disappear at the end of the horizon, Lin Chenran turned around and hurried into the conference room with the senior executives of the 704 shipyard with a serious face. The theme of their meeting was to discuss how to manufacture a deep-sea exploration and rescue submersible that meets the requirements of the Navy. After entering the conference room, Lin Chenran coughed lightly, breaking the brief silence in the room. He glanced at everyone present, and then said slowly, "The Navy has given our 704 shipyard a task to build a deep-sea exploration and rescue submersible with excellent performance, reliability, and practicality. Next, I hope that you can speak freely and express your opinions regarding the specific requirements put forward by Mr. Huang for this submersible. Please express your true thoughts without reservation." As soon as Lin Chenran finished speaking, a slight discussion was heard in the conference room. A moment later, a senior executive spoke first. "I think the most critical point about deep-sea exploration and rescue submersibles is that they must have strong enough pressure resistance to withstand the daunting water pressure in the deep sea. After all, the deep sea environment is extremely harsh, and the pressure is beyond imagination. If the submersible cannot withstand such water pressure, then everything will be out of the question. Another participant added, yes, in addition to pressure resistance, the internal volume ratio is also one of the most important factors. Because we need to consider how many soldiers trapped in the sunken submarine can be rescued at one time. Once a submarine unfortunately sinks to the bottom of the sea due to various unpredictable reasons, the amount of oxygen that can be provided by its internal oxygen supply equipment is very limited, and over time, harmful gases will continue to accumulate and increase. We need to race against time to launch rescue operations and rescue as many soldiers in danger as possible. Hearing this, Lin Chenran nodded slightly in agreement and signaled others to continue expressing their opinions. More voices began to rise in the conference room. Some focused on the submersible's power system, some emphasized the reliability of its communications equipment, and still others placed higher demands on navigation and positioning technology. The entire room was immersed in a heated and intense atmosphere of discussion. Lin Chenran signaled to his assistant to write down everyone's useful suggestions. Later, they would submit them to the chief designer of the Jianlong Deep Sea Exploration and Rescue Submersible. Since the design and development of the Jianlong Deep Sea Exploration and Rescue Submersible was not very difficult, Lin Chenran and Pan Zuming both intended to have the top young marine engineers at the 704 shipyard lead the design and development team. They would hold an internal competition for deep sea exploration and rescue submersibles. Young engineers at the shipyard would each form a design and development team to design the Jianlong Deep Sea Exploration and Rescue Submersible. Of course, this competition would be subject to time limits and personnel restrictions. The best deep sea exploration and rescue submersible design would likely become the final design. After the announcement, the young engineers at the 704 shipyard were eager to showcase their skills, gain recognition from senior management, and pave the way for their future. Who doesn't want a bright future? Who doesn't want to be recognized by their superiors? This deep sea exploration and rescue submersible design competition is the perfect opportunity to do just that. Chapter 249 Aegis Missile Destroyer Export Version. The Yan Kingdom Navy left the 704 shipyard, but Lin Chenran did not leave. He still had to wait for an important client. With a piece of cloth on his head, "I'm the richest camel in the world." Time passed by minute, and finally, a plane cut through the sky and landed at the airport of Yan Kingdom. The plane was carrying the visiting delegation led by Abdul. After several hours of flying, Abdul and his team members were a little tired, but their eyes were still full of expectations. As soon as they got off the plane, they saw a row of luxurious Rolls-Royce fleets that had been waiting for a long time. Then they got on the Rolls-Royce fleet and left the airport, heading for the 704 shipyard. At this time, Abdul was full of doubts. Why go directly to the shipyard? What is the connection between Lin Chenran and this 704 shipyard? Along the way, Abdul observed the scenery outside through the car window, and the doubts in his heart became stronger and stronger. Not long after, the convoy slowly drove into the gate of the 704 shipyard. When Abdul and his companions got out of the car, they were immediately struck by the magnificent sight before them. The huge dock, the towering cranes, and the busy and orderly workers formed a picture of bustling production. Just then, a familiar figure came towards them. It turned out to be Lin Chenran. With a smile on his face and a brisk pace, he stepped forward enthusiastically to shake hands with Abdul and said, "Abdul, welcome back to Yan country." Abdul also smiled and responded, "Lin, you are so polite." The two men clasped hands tightly. Then, Lin Chenran, with a smile on his face, led Abdul and his companions slowly into the 704 shipyard. The sun shone on the spacious factory area, reflecting the huge and magnificent docks and gantry cranes, as if covering the entire shipyard with a layer of golden glory. During this time, Abdul's deep eyes betrayed curiosity and confusion. He finally couldn't help but ask, "Lin, what's your relationship with the 704 shipyard?" Abdul observed the respect shown to Lin Chenran by the 704 shipyard staff. Upon hearing this question, Lin Chenran's smile remained gentle, but his eyes brightened with a hint of confidence and honesty. He replied calmly, "Abdul, To be honest, the 704 shipyard is actually a subsidiary of the 077 machinery and arsenal. As soon as he finished speaking, the Saudi delegation from the Camel region suddenly widened their eyes, gasping in unison, their faces filled with disbelief. They had heard of the 077 machinery and arsenal size and scope, but they had never imagined that the massive and technologically advanced 704 shipyard before them actually belonged to the 077 machinery and arsenal. And wasn't the director of the 077 machinery and arsenal Lin Chenran? That being said, the 077 mechanical arsenal seems to be involved in equipment for all land, sea, and air forces. It's capable of designing, developing, and manufacturing aircraft, tanks, and warships. Abdul felt like he'd been struck by a thunderbolt, frozen in place, his face filled with disbelief and profound shock. It wasn't until several minutes later that he regained consciousness, his body trembling slightly. He took a deep breath, trying to calm his turbulent emotions. Then, with a glint of eagerness in his eyes, he turned to Lin Chenran again and asked, "Is your country's highly anticipated Aegis missile destroyer designed, developed, and built by your 704 shipyard?" Abdul asked bluntly, without beating around the bush. The Saudi delegation members sitting nearby in the Camel region all turned their heads at this question, dozens of pairs of eyes fixed on Lin Chenran, their gazes filled with curiosity and anticipation. Everyone held their breath, awaiting Lin Chenran's answer. Facing the crowd's expectant gazes, Lin Chenran appeared remarkably calm and composed. He smiled faintly and said, "Yes, the Aegis missile destroyer was indeed independently designed, developed, and built by our 704 shipyard." These words, like a stone dropped into a calm lake, instantly stirred 1,000 waves. Really? Abdul couldn't believe his ears. His face flushed with excitement, and his hands unconsciously clenched into fists. He had come to inquire with the intention of giving it a try, but he was surprised to find the suspect so easily. Since its introduction, the Aegis missile destroyer has caused a sensation internationally. Its powerful performance and advanced technology have attracted the attention of countries around the world, and it has even been hailed as one of the world's most advanced destroyers. Knowing that this warship was actually produced by the shipyard where the man in front of him worked, how could he not be extremely excited? "Then I wonder if Saudi Arabia can order Aegis missile destroyers from your company?" Abdul asked eagerly. "If this advanced warship can be successfully introduced, it will greatly enhance their country's coastal defense capabilities." Faced with Abdul's urgent inquiry, Lin Chenran was unusually calm and composed. He smiled slightly and said slowly, "Abdul, please be patient. Let's go back to the conference room to discuss first. There are so many people here, it's better to be careful about some things." After speaking, Lin Chenran made a gesture of invitation, signaling Abdul and his party to return to the conference room with him. Although this is their own territory, when it comes to such a major military transaction, they still have to remain highly vigilant to prevent the news from being leaked and used by people with ulterior motives. Lin Chenran also wanted to show the aircraft carrier to the Saudi delegation in the Camel area. Soon, Lin Chenran brought everyone to the conference room. The members of the Saudi delegation in the Camel area all showed an impatient look on their faces. Seeing the anxious Saudi delegation from the Camel region, Lin Chenran got straight to the point. "Abdul, we can sell the Aegis missile destroyers to Saudi Arabia." "Really? Great. Thank you, Lin. You're our Saudi Arabia's best friend." Abdul excitedly stood up upon hearing this, and walked over to shake Lin Chenran's hand. Before the Saudis from the Camel region came to Yan country, Lin Chenran had discussed the possibility of selling the Aegis missile destroyers with the Yan country navy. The Yan country navy's senior leaders didn't mind selling the Aegis missile destroyers to the Saudis from the Camel region, but some changes were required. Only the export version could be sold to the Saudis from the Camel region. What was the export version? The weaponry and power would be reduced. About 30% would be reduced. Some weaponry would not be supplied to the Saudis from the Camel region. The Yan country navy also had a condition. A portion of the profits from the sale of the Aegis missile destroyers would be shared with them. Chapter 250 Lin Chenran, how about a light aircraft carrier? Lin Chenran, smiling, enthusiastically introduced Abdul to Pan Zooming, the chief designer of the Aegis missile destroyer. Pan Zooming, neatly dressed in a work uniform, exuded a focused and serious demeanor, exuding professionalism and confidence. Pan Zooming cleared his throat and began to meticulously explain the export version of the Aegis missile destroyer to the Saudi representatives from the Camel region. He began by explaining the ship's overall design concept and then delved into its various advanced technologies and unique features. The Saudi delegation listened, captivated by Pan Zooming's insightful and accessible explanation, their eyes flickering with excitement and amazement. Having only heard of this new warship, Pan Zooming's vivid descriptions made it seem as if they had witnessed the Aegis missile destroyer's majestic presence, traversing the seas. After this engaging introduction, the Saudi delegation gained a clearer and more intuitive understanding of the Aegis missile destroyer. They marveled at the warship's impressive capabilities, and a burning desire surged within them, eager to purchase it immediately for their own navy. The Aegis-equipped destroyer truly rivaled the top-tier destroyers of other major powers. Its performance was exceptional in attack, air defense, anti-missile capabilities, and even its ability to defend against torpedo attacks. Even the missile destroyers of the militarily formidable United States and Russia might not have an absolute advantage against it. Faced with such an advanced Aegis-equipped destroyer, the Saudi delegation in the Camel region marveled at the rapid development of Yan's shipbuilding industry. 2 years ago, they had doubted Yan's ability to build a first-rate warship, citing its lack of cutting-edge shipbuilding technology. However, times have changed, and the achievements now before their eyes have completely overturned their previous perceptions. As the saying goes, after 3 days of absence, a scholar should be looked at with new eyes. Abdul and his companions didn't rush into a decision. After careful consideration, they made a special request to Lin Chenran. They wanted to see the Aegis missile destroyer first and, ideally, they wanted to board the Yan Kingdom Navy's Linjiang Aegis missile destroyer and, if possible, arrange for a test experiment. This seemingly simple request was actually complex. Hearing Abdul's words, Lin Chenran frowned, a hint of embarrassment on his face. Abdul, this is really putting me in a difficult position. It's really putting me in a difficult position. He paused briefly, then continued, if you just want to see the Aegis missile destroyer under construction, I can personally take you there after this meeting. But you want to see the Aegis missile destroyer already in service in our navy, that's not so easy. At this, Lin Chenran shook his head slightly. Such highly classified and strategically important military equipment is usually strictly restricted to outsiders. Want to see it? Pay extra. As long as the bribe is sufficient, everything will be easy to talk about. Abdul and others seemed to have anticipated this. They knew very well that as long as Lin Chenran did not flatly refuse on the spot, it meant that there was still room for negotiation. They had dealt with Lin Chenran many times and knew the ins and outs of it. As long as the bribe was sufficient, he would be able to help. Lin, you can rest assured. As long as you can arrange for us to board your Yan Navy's Linjiang Aegis missile destroyer for a visit, we Saudi Arabia will never let you suffer. As Abdul spoke, he secretly winked at Lin Chenran, implying that he would give a generous reward in exchange for this rare opportunity. It seemed as if to say, if you let us board the Linjiang Aegis missile destroyer for a visit, we in the Camel region of Saudi Arabia will give you a free bribe. Lin Chenran frowned, his face still wearing that embarrassed expression, but his tone was obviously relaxed a little. Abdul, this matter is indeed a bit tricky, but considering our many years of friendship, I will do my best to fight for it. Lin Chenran continued, after this meeting, I will immediately organize the relevant situation and report to my superiors, but I can't guarantee what the final result will be. Having said that, Lin Chenran paused, his eyes swept over everyone present, then spread his hands helplessly and continued, everyone here knows that our country has too many old warships. At present, the only one that can really play a role and support the important task of coastal defense is the Linjiang Aegis missile destroyer. Except for regular maintenance and repairs, when it can take a breather, the Linjiang Aegis missile destroyer has to go out on patrol most of the time to defend our country's vast sea borders. Hearing this, Abdul, who had been staring at Lin Chenran, finally relaxed his tense nerves a little. He smiled and responded, no problem, I know you can do it. At the same time, the members of the Saudi delegation from the Camel region, seated beside Abdul, also relaxed with relief. Their eyes gleamed with anticipation, their lips curled up unconsciously. With the Aegis missile destroyer introduced, the main event was about to begin. Lin Chenran, Abdul, would you Saudi Arabia want a light aircraft carrier? Abdul and the rest of the Saudi delegation from the Camel region were momentarily surprised. What? Lin, you just said a light aircraft carrier? Abdul asked again in disbelief. Lin Chenran smiled and nodded. Aircraft carriers are powerful warships coveted by the navies of many nations. Not just the Saudis and the Camel region, even the Yan Kingdom Navy has an obsession with aircraft carriers. Or perhaps it's fair to say that every nation has an aircraft carrier dream. Lin, you're not lying to me. Does your 704 shipyard have the capacity to build an aircraft carrier? It's a bit presumptuous, but your country doesn't even have one, Abdul reassured. After all, the Yan Kingdom Navy doesn't have any aircraft carriers. It's now supported only by a single Linjiang Aegis missile destroyer. Lin Chenran responded with a smile. Abdul, whether our country has an aircraft carrier has nothing to do with whether our 704 shipyard can build a light aircraft carrier. Our country needs to focus on the economy. The Navy doesn't have much military funding, and we don't have enough to purchase aircraft carriers. But your Camel region Saudi Kingdom is different. I assure you that our 704 shipyard has enough strength to build a light aircraft carrier. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.